What's up, y'all? It's TTC, aka the ThunderConductor, and we back for another YouTube video and Twitch stream. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. If you're on Twitch, make sure you follow and ring the bell. We do this once a week on YouTube and every other week on Twitch. So let's get right on to it. I got a question for y'all. What is your favorite Jeskai commander in cEDH? Some folks gonna say, come on, Elsha baby, it's number one on top EDH top 16. Why would you choose another one? Some people gonna say, what about Jeskai Ishai? Jessica Ishai, Murder Bird, come on. That's an OG, it's a classic, the partner pairing. Some people gonna say that, oh, you wanna talk about OGs? Come on, OG Narsat. Hexproof, First Strike, come on now. The baby gets the job done every time. But I wanna talk about a crowd favorite for this channel. I wanna talk about Satya Aetherflux Genius. If you all not aware, I'm on a tear right now with this commander. Like this, I just cannot explain them enough how much I love this commander and how dope it is just to be able to say, yo, like I brewed this commander, it got the job done, and it's been winning. And if you're not familiar with it, I want to take a sec to explain it. So Satya Aetherflux Genius costs a colorless and Jeskai to cast. It is a human artificer and it has menaced haste. Whenever Satya Aetherflux Genius attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of up to one other target non-creature you control. You get 2 energy, and at the beginning of the next end step, sacrifice that token unless you pay the amount of energy equal to its mana value, and it's a 3/5. Okay, so straight to the point, you're saying, okay, T, I've seen the deck work before. Sometimes you cast it, sometimes you don't. But why would you choose this commander? So when I saw the Jeskai commander, I saw, okay, this can be my way to get all that combat shenanigans love out the way, but at the same time do the shenanigans with more colors though. So I brewed it, made the deck tech, but now I'm here to give you all an updated deck tech because I really want to say, like, I've made so many critical changes to this list, from adding the Baron Dock sideline to it, to just taking key pieces out that I thought were staples, to adding in new pieces like the recent Mockingbird. It's so many changes to it that I just felt like it was needed. So we actually got a question from, we got a statement from Zulu Zach. First kill was Black Blade. Okay, so shout out to Zulu Zach. Their recent, they won their recent Commander Night with 4-color Omnath Landfall. And it said first kill was a Black Blade on Omnath for +12/+12. Second player killed third and then conceded after repeated token. Let's see, repeated token creation. Okay. And the +1/+1 counter proliferation from Landfall. Get the fuck out of here. Good shit. Oh, Black Blade plus a Chrome as well. Good shit. Congratulations, bro, on the win. All right, so with the updates, what did I update? Okay, so first, here's the OG list, you know, Lightning Runner, all that other good stuff. So first, let's do a comparison between the lists, because I'm gonna tell y'all, it hasn't been a lot, but it's actually been really, really dope. So if you're not familiar, Scryfall and Moxfield have this amazing compare feature. So with this, we've made 13 changes since the original iteration, okay? So let's just start from the top. With the changes, I want to talk about the first big change was the exclusion of Lightning Runner and then adding in Lightning Runner's place, Barrin-Master Wizard, okay? So the reason for that change, I'm going to be honest with you. If it really was a thing where I just kept finding that it was too much mana to combo off with it. It's really cool to be able to say, like, all right, for sure, like I can go infinite by having like Roaming Throne or Delney Streetwise Lookout and a little bit of energy stored up already, and then just go infinite. But if you do the math for the combo, even if you have your commander out for 4 mana prior to, you still have to pay 3 colors and 2 red and 4 more colors to go infinite. And that's 10 mana. And that goes against our rule of 5 that we talked about before on this channel. A lot of powerful cEDH combos leverage 5 mana to win or less. So we have, for example, Thassa's plus Demonic Consultation is 3. Thassa's plus Tainted Pact is 4. Let's see, Dualcaster Mage Twin Flame is 5. Heat Shimmer is a special case where it's 6 because it's a little better in some cases because you can target any creature. But a lot of powerful cEDH combos sit around that 5 mana or lower than 5 mana application to be able to win. So through application and through practice, I was finding that like, yo, like this combo's taking too much mana to execute. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna let it go. And so shout out to, I can't remember his name right now, but another Satya pilot asked me, he was like, hey, have you tried Barrin-Master Wizard? I was like, Why? We don't have an infinite mana combo in our command zone. And that's usually my line. Like, I don't put infinite mana combos, but it's like, no. Look at the recruiters. And I was like, all right, keep going. He was like, check out the recruiters. If you cast the recruiter for 3, so like Imperial Recruiter or Recruiter of the Guard, and then you cast the Dockside for 2, so we're at 5 mana. Depending on how much mana you make with Dockside, you can then go to combat with Satya, make a copy of the Recruiter to go get Barrin, and then you have the Barrin Dockside combo on board, and then follow that up with Bounce the Recruiter to get any outlet you want to get. And I was like, oh shit, this guy's onto something. Question from Guy, do you have the deck list for tonight? Yes, I do. I will give that to y'all. Let's see. So when he told me that, I was like, okay, this is something really special. This is something really special. I think he was onto something. So I play tested it for a while, and it was like an instant auto include. It really morphed how I played the list, and it went from doing breach lines and doing like lightning runner shenanigans into no. Let's take lightning runner out. Let's add the Barrin-Master wizard in, and then let's lean harder on our recruiters. And so what happened after that, as I continue to play the list, I said, okay, next thing is roaming throne. The only tutor I have for this is Enlightened Tutor. So let's take the roaming throne out and I have to give y'all the flowers. A lot of people in the last video said, hey, check Delney Streetwise lookout out. And I looked at it for a while. I was like, it doesn't trigger with the commander because the commander has 3 power. But then after some play testing, it was, you're 100% right. I eventually added in Delney Streetwise lookout to be able to say, all right, for sure. I take roaming throne out. Delney Streetwise lookout is another way to increase my dockside count, to double my Esper triggers, Pollywog triggers, all these crazy things. And it's tutorable by both of my recruiters. So if my dockside count is not 6 to do the combo, it's fine, because I can literally just say, all right, set up with Delney Streetwise lookout, which I've done multiple times, and then follow up by just doing the dockside Baron loop. And I will get to the finish in a second. So after some time, I made those 2 switches, and then I was like, okay, I'm keep playing the list. I eventually was winning more, but there were some corner cases where I just kept losing. And I have to give these lists a shout out. Magda and Sisse are so fucking good. Hold on, y'all. If you didn't hear me, let me say it clear. Magda and Sisse are so fucking good. It's absolutely crazy. Their ability to just take a dockside and explode and just win out of nowhere. And I found, even though I don't overfeed dockside, I needed more ways to interact with the board, because after doing a lot of just soul searching and research and digging, I was like, I'm playing Jeskai wrong. Jeskai, in my opinion, after doing all my digging, I found that Jeskai is just so good at interacting. I need to lean harder on interacting and less on just trying to have the best cards. Or like, for example, the card I'm mostly speaking about is Thassa's Oracle right now. I had to let Thassa's Oracle go because it was like, I have so many good things that I can do with my colors. I'm playing this, honestly, I hate to use this term, but it's almost a dead card in the colors in this, because I'm not playing black. So I don't have Tainted Pact or Demonic Consultation. And it's a great I win card, but there's other cards that can do that, plus stop me from losing from key cards like, for example, Magda and Sisse. And so eventually that led me to the switch out of take Thassa's out, add Blind Obedience in. Not only does it stop creature combo decks that look to win with like Dualcaster Mage or whatever not, it also stops people who want to do immediate dockside shenanigans. Biggest thing is it's actually an outlet, because if you're not familiar with this card, it has the extort ability. So I can extort and kill the table. Bada bing, bada boo, through the dockside Barrin-Master wizard. And so did that change, and I was feeling really good. I was like, okay, we're doing our thing. We got to add more interaction though, you know? And originally, all right, another thing since the last video, I was playing Crash and I loved this card so much. It was like my fun include for the list, and it was so hard to let it go. It was honestly, I loved it. The theory of it and what actually happened in practice is it helped fill my graveyard. It was interaction, and it did so much, like it just for free, because there was times where I wanted to tap out for my advantage engines and then be able to win at a later win on the next turn, turning up, because I put all my mana to advantage. I needed some free interaction. Now, the problem is though, it wasn't always the piece I needed. And it was great at stopping people, and it was great at enabling my breach lines, but it wasn't always the piece I needed. And so over time, I did some digging, tried out a lot of different things, but eventually, shout out to Move to Combat. They're one of the channel owners. I forgot his name. Oh my gosh, he's escaping right now. He was playing Satya, and I saw he was running Flamescroll Celebrant, and I loved this because I've seen a lot of my Mardu players running this. I'm like, yo, this is something, you know, because I've lost a lot of times to people using the backside of this card, Revel and Silence. They'll silence the table, and I'm looking like, oh, that's interesting. And so I was thinking about it for myself. Yes, I'm not playing Mardu, but this can both stop my opponents and lock my opponents, stop my opponents from winning on their turn if they're storming off, and in addition protect myself. So then I started play testing it, and it was the exact thing I needed. It like fitting like a glove. It was perfect. And the front side was fucking amazing as well, because what I ended up finding is, because of the meta we are in right now, big thing on Nadu, Sisse, people who do Kennen, for example, people who are looking to do infinite activations, this front side ended up to be this amazing juggernaut as well, that basically says whenever an opponent activates an ability that isn't a mana ability, it deals 1 damage to that player. Okay, that part alone, you think, all right, TTC, you're gassing this up. It's not as good as you say it is. It can't be. And I have to say, it actually really is. I've had games where I've either used my commander, like the cool thing about Satya, because it gives me the 2 energy to keep 2 mana creatures around. If I already have the pieces to win in my hand, but I just don't think it's a good window, I will move forward and just play a Flamescroll Celebrant on the front side, and I'll just make a permanent copy. So every time that Nadu does Shugo, I'm going to ping you for 2. Every time that Nadu tries to, every time the Kennen tries to activate, or I've had a Yisan deck go down to freaking 1 life. I've killed Nadu players, and through this, and actually won games through this passive stacks effect that both helps me and stops my opponents. And the fun thing as well, it's an infinite mana outlet as well. So we can also put infinite mana into it. And then since our commander gives haste through when it attacks through here, whenever attacks create a tapped attacking token, it doesn't give haste, but the token comes in attacking. So if you're able to take multiple turns with like Last Chance and Final Fortune along those turns, you can use this as an infinite mana outlet, and you can leverage Delney to make it unblockable and then put the infinite mana in post. So I just put this card in, and I'm looking like, so you saying I lost this fringe fun card and put in this juggernaut that silences the effect on the back, and then it's a great stacks piece on the front plus an infinite mana outlet. That switch out was like, honestly, just by far, like, it was fucking crazy, bro. Let's see, we got guys saying thank you, can't stop the weather light. No cap, Sisei's fucking crazy. That was Danny. Yes, shout out to Move to Combat. Danny whooped ass. Y'all check them out on YouTube. They had a video, their first Satya gameplay video. He fucking took off. It was fucking disgusting. Those guys are great. They are. From Move to Combat. Yes, those guys are fucking amazing. So, yes, his choice for Flamescroll Celebrant, I give full flowers to him, and also big shout out to the Marty pilots. They were the first ones I ever see do this one, and so this was another change where I started to evolve. Where I said, okay, I know I'm not a stacks deck, but I'm gonna put these stacks pieces in to slow the table down in places where I'm weak. But in addition, they need to help me get towards a win, which is the silence effect, the infinite mana outlet on both of my Blind Obedience and the Flamescroll Celebrant. So it's kind of my compromise on stacks pieces. So I kept brewing, and then lo and behold, out of nowhere, they decided to print this monstrosity. They decided to print Mockingbird. And when I saw this creature, I was like, okay, I'm feeling it. You have Mockingbird as a copy of any creature on the battlefield with mana value less than or equal to the amount of mana spent to cast a Mockingbird, except it's a bird in addition to other types and has flying. And that's cool. You know what I'm saying? You pay 1 blue, you get an Esper, pay a blue and a colorless, you get in a dockside copy, and it's really good. But the selling point for me is someone in my Discord community said, yo, no, this is bananas. You can tutor this off Ranger Captain. And I was like, what the fuck? This is fucking crazy. By far, I was looking like, yo, what? That's crazy. Because right now, a lot of lists only have Esper, Sentinel, and Addition Ragavan maybe as their tutor targets. And so I'm looking like, yo, You're saying I have a clone, a blue card. So not only can I cast Ranger Captain to put a blue card in my hand, that's a clone, but I can, for my Force of Will if I don't have a blue card. You know what I'm saying? And it's a clone, so it's a good card itself. Immediately, I went to my list. I hate to let this go because that inner mono red, Rio, you're probably in me, saw the Cursed Mirror. I said, I gotta let this go. I love Cursed Mirror. I love the permanent ramp it provides after creating the clone. But I said, I gotta let this go. So I let Cursed Mirror go. And I said, I'm gonna bring Mockingbird on the team. Have not looked back since. It does have a little bit of a nombo with like some of our flicker effects, but it's okay if you're cloning it with Satya and or bouncing it. Because if you're cloning it, like with Satya's ability, it will allow you to keep the whatever Mockingbird is, it'll clone that. Or if you're bouncing it, you can bounce it to your hand and recast it to get another clone of whatever you want to. But the thing is though, if you flicker it with, for example, with an ephemerate, it doesn't work with that, which is like, it's a little unfortunate because, you know, with Cursed Mirror, you can flicker it and do shenanigans like that. But it was just like, losing that one synergy piece with ephemerate was, it was nothing in comparison to being able to tutor this to hand, which all the use cases that I brought up earlier. So I was like, yep, I'm sold. And within the train of like new cards coming out, the next one that came out that just by far has been really cool thus far. I'm still on the fence about it. Not that I think it's bad, but it's like sometimes it's really, really good. And sometimes it's kind of like, okay, it's solid. It's Pollywog Prodigy. I love this thing because what you can do in this list specifically is you can go, all right, cast Pollywog turn 1, turn 2, cast Satya turn 2, turn 3. Because Satya is a 3/5, you can evolve it immediately, and then you can go to combat because Satya has haste, and then you follow that up by saying, all right, for sure, I'm going to then make another copy of Pollywog Prodigy, and you're just set up. Now you have two Polywogs that the first one has a +1, the other one is just the standard, and so every time someone casts a 0-drop, you'll draw 2 cards. Every time you they cast a 1 or 0-drop, you'll draw 1 card. And so I'm like, okay, that's good. And so that switch out, I hate to say this, but I had to let my Archivist go. And my biggest selling point over that, you know, Archivist hasn't been feeling as good lately. I'm not sure why, but people are getting better and they're playing around Archivist. They're waiting to play their fetch lands. There's like, they just don't want to give the draws up, especially when they know they keep losing because you're drawing a lot of cards. And so I was like, all right, I got to let this go. And I'll try the Pollywog out, and I'll be honest, it's a blue card. Once again, same reasoning that I gave about Mockingbird, Pollywog Prodigy being that blue card that says like, hey, yo, I'm going to be pitchable to Force Will and Force Negation. I was like, say less, because I really hate being in those situations where I'm sitting there and I'm like, I got the way to stop you. I just don't have a blue spell in hand. I love just the addition of these blue spells have been really helpful because at the end of the day, I don't feel bad about pitching these to a Force of Will or Force Negation. It's nothing. A clone and a draw engine, nothing. You know what I'm saying? This is not a brain freeze. This is not like a win con that I'm getting rid of. It's nothing. So recent prints that just have been bonkers for this list. So we kept going, and so I kept playtesting the list, and so I wanted within the interaction suite, we got these new prints, but I was still thinking in my mindset, all right, we need more interaction. Let me look at my current deck and see what cards are kind of a little like whatever not. And what I found was ever since the inclusion of Barrin-Master Wizard Dockside combo from the recruiter lines, what I ended up finding was it was like, I really don't need pull for paternity anymore. I was real with myself and said, respectfully, I don't need to be able to rebound from my breach being exiled. And funny thing, ever since taking it out, I've even had games where my breach was exiled and I still won because I still run Teferi Kitten and I still run Barrin-Master Wizard Dockside in the list with the Imperial Recruiters to go get the rest of the combo. You know what I'm saying? And so over time, I just found like, all right, I'm going to take pull from Eternity out because I'm not just a breach deck. I'm going to accept that my list is strong enough. Even if my breach gets exiled, even if my Dockside gets exiled, I have other ways to win. And I ended up adding in its place Alchemist Retrieval. So I took out the security for the Dockside, for the Underworld Breach line, and I added in the Alchemist Retrieval, both as a way to protect my breach. Say if I want to, someone tries to Boseiju it under a silence effect and I have enough mana, Alchemist Retrieval back to my hand for 1 blue, recast it. Or say if I'm trying to do a breach line across 2 turns, I can do my combo, go ahead and cast a Last Chance because I just need to tutor. I need to go ahead and I mystical tutored my Brain Freeze on top of my library, so I just need the way to draw it. Let's go into Alchemist Retrieval, go cast the Last Chance, go to the final turn, and then I can recast the Breach if I don't have a Savines available to me. You know what I'm saying? So just a great way. Not to mention the main reason that most people play Alchemist Retrieval is for dockside. So by far, I'm looking like, all right, I love this because there's been plenty of times where it just became the perfect support for my own strategy. Like just for one blue, I'm just gonna go ahead and just bounce my dockside, bounce the Breach, and just do my thing and continue to either storm off with Breach or storm off with dockside. And I really love that. And the biggest thing is we added it for an interaction spell. I do not mind playing 2 mana for a removal spell. This actually at first was Snap, but specifically Alchemist Retrieval's ability to bounce any non-land permanent that we control for 1 blue or that our opponents control for colorless and blue is really, really great. Let's see, Zulu Zach saying loving stream because there's so many cards I never knew of that could easily fit in my decks. Thank you, Zulu. I'm telling you, it just is one layer of it when you first brew a deck, and then there's another layer of it where it's like, all right, I first brew the deck and I make it and I feel comfortable it's winning, and then you really grind with that deck. It's just those slight changes that it shows all the intricate layers of cards. So by far, fucking love it. So Alchemist Retrieval by far is the mainstay in the list. I'm sure they're gonna make a better bounce spell for your downside bouncing and all that other stuff, or your own what's it called, Underworld Breach bouncing in the future. I'm sure they will. For now, I really would recommend Alchemist Retrieval if you're on creature loops as well as breach lines, because it's really good. And I'm be honest, 2 mana is not a lot to hold up for interaction. To touch any non-land permanent, I really like it. And surprisingly, people are always ready for it. It's really cool because, you know, a lot of times people are expecting the Chain of Vapor where they can maybe F you back for effing them up. And no, that doesn't happen. So that was cool. So we kept playing. And I didn't bring this up, but this was a change that I made immediately when I first added in the Barrin-Master Wizard to list. I added in Muddle the Mixture because I wanted a way to get to my blind obedience. Because how I usually do my line, how I usually win is I'll do the Barren Dockside, make infinite treasures. Then I'll follow that up by saying, yo, I'll bounce my Imperial Recruiter to go get Spellseeker, then use Spellseeker to go get Muddle the Mixture, and then I'll transmute the Muddle the Mixture to go get Blind Obedience, and then I'll win like that. Now there's other ways to win with creature lines or other tutors I can get the Imperial Recruiter, but this is the cleanest line. It gets around the One Ring, is just as clean as the Thassa's Oracle, plus you get all the benefits of it being a stacks piece to slow down the Sisseys and Magdas of the community. So honestly, I love it. And once again, like I said, y'all, Jeskai is so good at interacting. It's so good. Please trust me. If you're playing a Jeskai deck, I'm not saying you have to play control, but leverage your colors. Just be real with yourself and say, hey, yo, like I have great control colors. I don't have to be a control deck, but that doesn't mean I can't find cards that can work double duty. I needed more tutors because Jeskai doesn't have tutors. So how about I add a tutor that can also be a counter spell? And so it works double duty for me. And most times I'm using this to go tutor my Dockside, to go tutor my Blind Obedience, to go tutor my Underworld Breach or my Brain Freeze. But on the flip side, I also can just say, hey, you're trying to do Thassa's Tainted Pact. I'm going to counter your Tainted Pact and just call it a day. I really love it. So big thing, just look at your colors, deep research within that. So the next change I was making is more of a field change. As you can see here, I'm not running the One Ring and I don't feel bad about it. I would tell you right now, I don't think this is a bad card. I am not here to tell you all it's a bad card, but for my list specifically, I kept finding that because I'm not in black and I'm not running Dark Ritual or the Cabal Ritual or other things that allow me to push out like large spells on those early turns, I didn't have a lot of ways to push the One Ring out on turn 1 to 2, which is the best time to push it. And since I end up usually having a hand to cast on turn 3 to 4, that means I have to tap out for all of my mana usually to cast One Ring to draw 1 card, and I would end up losing. So then I just went in my bag and say, okay, I still want to be able to draw cards, but one thing about my play style is I love information when it comes to information to my opponent's hands, and I like hidden information for myself. So what I ended up doing was I took a note actually off Rockside, and I took the One Ring out and I added in Gitaxian Probe. Not all Rockside pilots are running it, but I was like, you know what? I'm not a full-blown turbolist, but I am the deck that has ability to win through a bunch of interaction and even win super, like, just win through a Rhystic Study or win through a fish. So I'm like, a Gitaxian Probe not only gives me the card that I would get for free off of the One Ring, it also lets my top deck tutors be better when if I'm storming off a breach, I need to draw the card, whether it is the LED or the Brain Freeze from the Mystical Tutor or the Line Tutor. I can go ahead and go, all right, I'm going to go Gitaxian Probe. I'm going to cast the Line Tutor, cast that or that in the Gitaxian Probe, see the information from my opponent's hand, and then say if I have extra counter magic, I can defend that as well as draw my card and do everything for just 2 life. We're not in black. We're not using our life total. So it's a weird one. It was a weird change, but it was a change that I really did love. And so shout out to the Rockside community. I had full flowers. I got that from the Rockside community. All right. So the next change I made that actually was inspired once again by the Rockside community was I was running Brass's Tunnel Grinder for some time, and the idea that I had for it was I was trying to do a lines where it was like, all right, Brass's Tunnel Grinder with Displacer Kitten, and then if I had non-creatures spells in my hand, I could discard cards and like selectively, because it says when Brass's Tunnel Grinder enters the battlefield, discard a number of cards, then draw them into cards +1. But that's just 7 mana to do Displacer Kitten and Brass's Tunnel Grinder. It's a lot of mana to be churning your wheels to not guarantee to win. So then what I ended up doing is I play tested Wheel of Misfortune for a time, and I loved it. But the only problem with Wheel of Misfortune is that sometimes it's literally a dead card because your life total is too low. Because say if your opponent's been hitting you or whatever else happened in the game, and there's times that you just can't cast it, and your opponents will pay the life so you can't wheel. So then the official change that I end up switching out for Brass's Tunnel Grinder is I added in Timetwister. This seems like a card that doesn't make sense, where you're thinking in your head like, T, you're a breachless, why would you want to reset your graveyard? What I would counter to say, there's 2 reasons, really 3, but 2 main reasons why I've been finding Timetwister to be great. A is turn 1 wheel on the play or even on second seat is just objectively good. If you know how to play well, if you can push out a turn 1 wheel, just pop it. You're seat 1, seat 2, maybe, depending on who's seat 1. Go ahead and just push it out. I don't care if your hand is gassed. I don't care if you can push out that disrupting your opponents is just objectively good, in my opinion, and in my experience. Point number 2. This deck is, because we focused on winning over trying to stop our opponents with this deck within our brewing, and even the pieces that stop our opponents help us win, this is one of the best, like, I will and win decks. So there'll be times where I'll cast a Dockside, cast Satya, go to combat, double down on my Dockside, and then have no other cards that are really doing anything for me. I will literally just cast the wheel nakedly and be like, I'll either try to go silence into the wheel or just cast the wheel and say, what happens, I'm pretty sure that I can get there because I just have these 10 treasures or 10 to 15 treasures. I'm sure I can find the pieces. And honestly, 8.5 to 9 times out of 10, I usually have all the pieces I need to get there post wheel. And a lot of times, especially if you time it right when your opponents are tapped out and not expecting, like you can do this on turn 2 or turn 3, your opponents are not expecting this Jeskai list to explode out of nowhere and win on some Rockside energy. You just win, and you don't care that you lost your graveyard, because either you'll get the cards to refill your graveyard by drawing another wheel to do a breach line, or you just draw the rest of your combo. Like a key card that's been a mainstay in this list, even though it's a little heavier on the mana side, is where are we? Professional Facebreaker. So we can literally go post wheel, cast Professional Facebreaker, and use all the excess treasures from Dockside, or use all the excess treasures from a Smothering Tithe to dig even deeper. And I find that a lot of times that's where I love this card. Either post Infinite Treasures to see my whole library, or I go like, all right, for sure, I got 15 treasures from Dockside. Use 3 of them to cast Wheel. Use the other 3 to cast Professional Facebreaker. At that point, 15 treasures minus, I have 9 treasures left. Let's see what happens. So at that point, I've drawn 7 plus 9. That's 16 cards. If you can't win that way, then your deck may be a little too focused on stopping your opponents. And this deck is specifically say, we're trying to win. So most times I'm able to find the last pieces to get there. So love this switch out. And I didn't bring this up earlier. We took out Goblin Engineer for the Muddle mixture. So with that switch, since we already had Goblin Engineer out, Brass's Tunnel Grinder was also a reason just to let that one go. We have Maho. Hey, thank you. Here to show support. Love your content. Thank you. We got guys saying, get back. No, thank you so much for the love, brother. Thank you. So that's just another reason for that switch. If you can see where my mindset is, like when I originally brewed the list, is like I want the cards that get me towards winning first. I didn't add, as you can see, there's no Drannith Magistrate in this list in the first iteration or the updated iteration because I haven't needed it. You know what I'm saying? I don't need Drannith for this list because I'm not fully trying to stop my opponents. But if I am trying to stop my opponents, I need those cards to do double duty for me. You know what I'm saying? I stacks them, but let me win. I need you to silence them, but also or stacks them, but also be able to silence them to get me towards win, or be an infinite mana outlet to do infinite combat damage. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of great things, a lot of cool things. And as we kept going, like that's where the mindset was. Now these last changes are things that I've found are just unique for this list specifically. Starting off, originally, I was running all 3 Talisman, Arcane Signet, and Fellwar Stone. However, I let Fellwar Stone go because I needed 28 lands in the list. It was just feeling weird and awkward. 27, for some reason, I was missing land drops, and there's actually been early gameplay where my list was just not working. I was drawing a bunch of cards, but missing land drops, and because, once again, if I don't have Dockside or Smothering Tithe or some other ramp piece out, it's not really doing what I needed to do. So I said, all right, let Fellwar Stone go. But because I have so many 3-drops in my list, like the Delney, the Recruiters, the Spellseeker, how about we add City of Traitors in? Shout out to another Satya pilot who put me on the City of Traitors. And so City of Traitors, fucking amazing. Everything from feeding the breach to making that 5 mana that we need to win the game a lot easier to go Imperial Recruiter plus Dockside and combo off and win. It's really good. Love City of Traitors. And the next change out was actually something very special that I want to bring light to about both Fellwar Stone, but even Exotic Orchard. When you have an archetype deck, okay, let me say it like this. I'm not a fan of these cards. I'm going to just say the controversial statement. I'm not a fan of these cards. When you have a proactive deck that you're focused on, I'm trying to move forward and win, every turn matters. Not just because you're trying to be turbo and win really fast, but every turn is trying to move you closer towards a win. I don't have time to say, I can't turn past my turn 1 Esper Sentinel because my Exotic Orchard is not online and I'm on a play. Or I'm going second seat and the person left their fetch unfetched, and so I don't even have a colors off of them. Or I want to go land Soul Ring Fellwar Stone and I have to choose between going Soul Ring Fellwar Stone to hopefully cast something and I have to go land Esper Sentinel. And now that small tempo lost was not worth it. And so what I ended up doing is not only am I running in most of my list now, am I running all 3 Talismans and not running Fellwar Stone unless I'm doing monocolored or 2-colored, of course, where the Talismans are a little less abundant. I'm also taking Fellwar Stone Exotic Orchard out where it's not really needed in these 3+ color decks because I can be really aggressive and say, I'm gonna run all my fetches, I'm gonna do everything. I know Exotic Orchard is great and it's powerful, but I need to, from turn 1, to move forward, and I don't need my lands not to be online. So we took Exotic Orchard out and added an Urza Saga. First, it being able to tutor more ramp so we can be explosive on turn 3. We usually win on turn 3 to turn 4, and we can present wins on turn 2 depending what our opening hand looks like. But being able to be explosive and say, all right, I already got intuition, this will find my LED. Or say if I just need a little bit more ramp to be able to go, all right, float the colors mana, I'll go get a Soul Ring and I have 2 other lands. Bingo, that's 5 mana. That's gonna get us there. So being able to make that switch out to be aggressive from turn 1, to be able to push things out and not be slowed down from Exotic Orchard really was helpful. Now, let me make this clear. These are not bad cards. If you run them in your list, you're not making a mistake. But if you're trying to be proactive, I would suggest try it out. Literally just try taking Fellwars. And if you're in 3+ colors where you're not looking for more ramp, try taking out these lands that require opponents to have something. It's a really, really cool thing that I've loved in this list specifically and all my proactive lists and haven't really gone back. So, and also Urza Saga School and the other land you will let's see. Any other cool things. Let's see. We got Maho saying switching out repeat stone, etc. Oh, switching off Fellwar Stone. Yeah. I'm telling you, just try it. And let's see. We got Voho saying nothing important. So we'll just take that one out. And so we're doing cool things. I may be wrong but I just added Mopal and Fellwar Stone in Sisay plus all the dorks. Sisay's different. Sisay's a 5-color. In my 5-color list, and that's why I didn't want to just speak in heuristics and say objectively that Fellwar Stone is bad or Exotic Orchard. When you're a 5-color list, I would rather run Exotic Orchard over Forbidden Orchard, where I'm giving people a resource. So I'm not going to knock Exotic Orchard, but Sisay is a specific special case where it's a 5-color deck. I'm thinking more, this may just be a 3-color thing. You know what I'm saying? I'll just throw that out there. This may just be more for 3-color decks. I can see in 4-color decks like the Tim the Crimes or whatever not, where you may want to run Exotic Orchard. But I think in 5 colors, I don't think it's end of the world running Exotic Orchard, but you need to understand, and Fellwar Stone, but you need to understand that this will be offline, and outside of Dockside, Sisay's not trying to win on turn 2 and 3, so you're not losing anything by, oh, this is the only land in my hand, but I know I'm going to have an explosive turn 2. You're not going to lose the game because of this. Or no, you may lose the lane to Rockslide. It is what it is. But it's not the end of the world. And plus, once Rockslide or anybody else plays their blue source, you can at least hold up some counter magic on turn 1. So I still won't recommend this for the super proactive decks. But if you're 5-color list, it's not the end of the world. Guy says, I was hesitant on it in Kenrith, and I'm not on Forbidden in any of my lists. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. If you all are not familiar on Forbidden Orchard, I'm just going to put an Orchard. Should come up. Forbidden Orchard is the one that gives your opponents a 1/1 color spirit creature token. Right now, almost every list can use these things. I'm gonna be honest. It's just, outside of Satya, because Satya can't copy non-token creatures, and even when I'm playing my Rionia list, I usually get the token because they don't care if I make copies with it, because I'm like, oh, I made 6 1/1s. Okay, do 6 damage, but giving this to a blue farm, or giving for a Timner attacker, or giving this to a Roxai for a sack to a tutor or sack to a ritual, or even giving this to Kennen for Gaia's Cradle, it just doesn't feel good. And I know they won't always have it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna advocate for Forbidden Orchard. But if you like it, you like it. But I'll be cognizant who you give this to. Always think. Don't just throw it out. Kind of talk to the table and just kind of get a feel of like, hey, I'm about to give this. So I'm about to give this spirit to this player. Tell me if I'm missing something. You know what I'm saying? So just keep that in mind. So off the lands, though, there's one last change we made. Thank you all so far to be amazing audience. There's one final change that we made in the list, and I took out our Battle Bond land for Fiery Islet. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. Like, card draw is better than, we're not using our life total. Card draw is good. Once again, I'm not using my life total on this list. So being able to go, like, all right, I'm going to go Enlightened Tutor, sack my Fiery Islet to go draw that card, whether it's an Underworld Breach, LED, or a Mystical Tutor for a Brain Freeze, or a Mystical Tutor, because I have a shit ton of treasures post Timetwister. I'm going to cast them. I'm going to cast the Mystical Tutor, crack the Fiery Islet to go get the intuition, to then do the whole intuition line, because I'm sitting on 21 treasures from having a Smothering Child. Like, it's a lot of busted things. Just card draw's good. Okay. But with that said, those are the changes I've made. It doesn't seem like a lot, but I promise you, it's been huge changes, and we have so much more to talk about. But I just want to say, like, if you're really wondering where these changes came from, this was my mindset. If you like, when it comes to brewing, this is where my mind goes. I start off by saying, how do I want to win? And then after play testing it for a while, I follow up, how do I want to stop my opponents? And so, especially for this list, those kind of worlds kind of bled together, where I didn't want to focus so much on stopping my opponents, because right now I just, like, for me, I don't want to sit back and stacks out the table and then have nothing else to do. I found that happened with my Esper Marnie's list. I'll maybe sometimes draw the wrong side of my library, and it frustrated me. And I have all these great stacks pieces, nobody can win, but I'm sitting there, I'm like, can you win, Marnie? You got 10 cards, and I'm like, I have one part of 3 different combos, y'all. It's not even the good parts either. And so this is the kind of situation where I was like, I did not want that to happen. Been seeing a lot of success from it. We have guys saying, first question is, do you run one Surveil land? As of right now, no. not because they're bad. Once again, I don't think the Surveil lands are bad. I think they're actually really good. I'm actually currently brewing a 2-color Azorius list. I love it in there. It's really cool. For this list, the same reason that I never want to be off because of Exotic Orchard, I never want to take a turn off. I never want to take a turn off because my only land in hand is a Surveil land and I want to go turn 1 Fish or turn 1 Esper. I want to be go at the very beginning. So I don't think the Surveil lands are bad, but for this list, I wouldn't recommend it. We have a guy saying, what do you think about them being in 3+ color decks? I don't think it's the number of colors, because you can even see Roxai is running 1 Surveil land. But granted, they're doing like we're doing breach stuff, but they're really like they're super explosive. So they're running Surveil land. I personally don't ever want to take a turn off. And because I'm not in black, I don't have all the rituals that Roxai has affords to. So I really can't, in my opinion, I can't afford to like have cast a Rog and a Mox Amber and then still have turn 1 mana and then still be able to like ritual off and hold my fetch up to surveil some other like some bullshit like at the end step before my turn 2 and exploding win. The lack of black makes it, for me, as trying to be a turbo mid-range deck, doesn't allow me to have that. I don't think, but the main thing I would say to answer your question, I don't think it's a thing about number of colors. I think it's more on the intent of the deck. What are you trying to do with your deck? What colors you have are important, like I just explained. But in this list, I say no. In another 3-color list, yeah, I would say the Surveil lands are good. If you're a hard mid-range list where you're not trying to win on turn 2, you're trying to run more on maybe turn 3 through 5, 1 Surveil land is not going to be in the world, and it's extra information. It helps you get that bad draw out the way. But if you're trying to win between turn 2 and 4, that's where those like that 1 Surveil land can kind of be a little murky, and I really don't want that experience in this list. We have Zulu says, question, what are the pros and cons of running Skyland over Surveil? Skyland over Surveil land? Does it matter much? Oh, yes. The pros are none of the Scry lands have the land types on them. If you're not familiar with scrying is, I'm sure we all are, but scry is when you look at the top card and you put it on, you either choose to leave it on top or put it on the bottom. And the Surveil land is you either leave it on top of your library or put it into your graveyard. The Surveil lands are fetchable, so you can use them with your fetch lands. And the currently, I don't think they have any scry lands. Let me check. I don't think they have any scry lands. Scry land. I don't think they have any. Oh, I did that wrong. Scry land. I don't think there's any scry lands with land types on them. No. Yeah, none of these lands have the land type on them. And if you would like to know more what I mean when I say land type, Surveil. The Surveil lands have mountain forest on it, mountain plains. So the Surveil lands, the reason they're seeing play and like very much are being loved in cEDH is because what you can do is you can hold your fetch on end step. You can surveil, see the card. Do I want it? No. Throw it to the bin, draw. It feeds your graveyard for if you're a breach deck. And it's great for reanimator decks. So what you can do is you fetch Surveil with the Surveil trigger on the stack. You cast a Vampiric Tutor or like a Worldly Tutor. You can put like a Hoarding Broodlord or some other shenanigans in your graveyard. And then on your next turn, you just cast Reanimate. So it's something really cool that a lot of players are doing. Not to mention the fact that they're fetchable. It's just free information. We have some people, shout out to Play to Win. They call it a time walk. And it's something like fun that you can do. But they're super powerful. I'm not going to knock them at all. Let's see. Yeah, they're correct. 100%. PDW jokingly called it a time. Yeah, played with called it a time walk in low color decks. No, 100%. It's really simple just to go like, all right, end step. I'm in a what's it called? I'm in a Gruul deck or whatever not, or I'm in a Simic deck. I'm just gonna end step, surveil. I don't like that card. Let's get rid of it. Especially if you're in red, that means you're feeding your breach. It's really easy. There's been plenty of times when I'm in my breach list and I'm like just getting into it. So yeah, great questions. Thank you for the interaction, guys. Zulu. So like I said, these are the changes that I made. So if you have not seen, if you've seen the deck tech, and then now you're looking at this one, now you're up to date. But I want to get back into kind of showing you all some of the combo lines and new things that have been updated with this list. But before I do, I just have one thing to say to you all. If you're looking for ways to support the show, we have a plethora. Everything from our ThunderConductor merch. It's my way to give y'all the softest, smoothest merch on this side of the internet, to also my ThunderConductor proxies. Also, please check out our Discord community. Check out the ThunderConductor community. It's really great. We jam games. We talk brewing. We just have a good time. But also, check out the Thunder Legion. That's our Patreon community. I want to give an amazing big shout out to Wavy Ashira, Bissy Baxon, The Praetor, and B-Rad. Y'all rocking. You keep the lights on the way that you could not imagine. They experience a lot of perks and even more if you will check out all the tiers we have. You can do things like play on our live streams, get shout outs on our YouTube videos and Twitch streams, as well as getting free proxies and discount codes. So just check out the Patreon if those are perks and more that you're interested in. And last but not least, if you're saying, AT, I don't want the Patreon, the proxies, the perks, I just want to support you for one time for the fun time because I love what you do. Don't worry, go ahead and check the link down in the bio. You can buy me a coffee to keep me up and keep the lights on. So let's get back to it. We've seen the deck tech, but maybe you didn't see the deck tech. So, hey, T, I ain't seen the deck tech. So what does the deck do? Okay. Very quickly, like I said, the deck is about winning. So we're going to go to the primer. Check out the primer. It has all these dope win cons, everything lined out, as well as the current playtest cards. After a lot of playtesting, the only current card that I'm just actively playtesting is Pollywog over Archivist of Oghma. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a mainstay, but I'm still filling it out. It's really been mostly the variance on drawing it. Every time I played it, it was solid, but it wasn't like I didn't play it and it felt like it was the reason I won. You know what I'm saying? It was more of like I played it, it did its thing, and it was cool. So, but let's go to win cons real quick. So if you've seen these, everything is pretty standard. We are running the Teferi Time Raveler Displacer Kitten combo. Easy with a net positive or 1/0 mana rock. You just loop it and draw your library. And we are running Angel's Grace, so you can cast Angel's Grace to make infinite mana as well. We are also running the Barrin-Master Wizard and Dockside Extortionist combo. And you can need at least your opponents control 6 artifacts and or enchantments. And if you're not familiar with this combo, I can quickly explain how it works. How it works is it does a lot of cool things, and boom. All right, so how the combo works is you have Dockside on board, and you have Barrin-Master Wizard on board, and Dockside needs to make at least 5 treasures. Needs to make at least 6 treasures to do the loop. So if you're not familiar, just say this little counters the number of treasures you control. So Barrin-Master Wizard says, pay 2, sacrifice a permanent, and then return to a creature at the owner's hand. So you'll use 3 of these. Boom, boom. Pay 2 mana, and then sacrifice one of the treasures. You have 3 treasures remaining, and so you'll bounce the Dockside back to your hand, and then you use 2 of those treasures, recast the Dockside, make 6 more treasures. You'll have 1 treasure remaining, so this counter will go to 7. So we just reset the loop, and if you can see, now we have 7 treasures, and we can keep the loop going. So super simple, and it's really good. Like we say, we usually go into it with a recruiter. So we just start the loop, and once we're finished, we make infinite treasures. We can start bouncing our recruiter infinitely. As I said before, Underworld Breach, Windfall, Lion's Eye Diamond, all the same thing. The main combo we're usually aware about is Underworld Breach, Brain Freeze, and LED. But the thing you have to remember about Breach lines is they're not just Underworld Breach, LED, Brain Freeze. The core of the combo is Underworld Breach, a graveyard filler, and a mana producer. Okay, now the traditional way is your mana producer would be LED and your graveyard filler would be Brain Freeze, but these are all alternates where you're just using generically good cards, but they're all getting the job done. So that's where we get Breach plus Windfall, card graveyard filler, plus LED. That's your mana producer. You can also do Wheel of Fortune and LED. Same thing, graveyard filler, mana producer. Then you can do Wheel of Fortune and Jessica's Will, where this is your mana producer and this is your graveyard filler. Now be cognizant, if you have your commander out, you may get into a little wonky position where you may exile cards that you may not want to exile versus filling up the graveyard. So be cognizant if you want to keep your commander out or not, because you may not want to have both modes because you want to have cards go to your graveyard, but that's case by case. But yeah, same thing. The cool thing about this one is that the red mana from Jessica's Will can be used to recast the Wheel of Fortune. So you want your Jessica's Will to make at least, if I'm correct, you need it to make at least 6 mana or 7 mana. You need Jessica's Will to make 7 mana, if I'm correct. And it will make, oh yeah, and it will make 7 mana because of Wheel of Fortune. Keep going. Wheel of Fortune, Graveyard Filler, Smothering Tithe, Mana Producer. If we keep going, we got Windfall, Smothering Tithe. Same thing, Graveyard Filler, Mana Producer. What? So for those people who are wondering, is Smothering Tithe good in cEDH? It's fucking great. Not only is it a great value engine, but it's also a combo piece for any Breach deck. So keep your eye on it. We also have Underworld Breach plus Displacerkin and Dockside. And then we also have either a Windfall, Wheel of Fortune, or Brain Freeze. This is one I made myself after just thinking about it long enough. With Displacerkin and Dockside on board, if your Dockside is making at least 3 treasure tokens, more predominantly probably 4, this will allow you to do the loop. And when you cast a Windfall, Wheel of Fortune, or Brain Freeze, it will trigger your Displacerkin to flicker the Dockside and keep the loop going. Okay, so you want at least 3 treasures, but you really want 4 so you can net extra mana. But the cool thing about this is as you do the loop, you'll eventually hit your LED, and so you can do it with just 3 treasures. So it's cool. Next is Professional Facebreaker on board, Displacerkin, and Dockside. What this does is when you have Displacerkin and Dockside on board, same thing, you cast non-creature spells to flicker your Dockside. And so that's why you want at least 1 non-creature spell to start the flicker loop, okay? But the thing is, now that you're making all these treasures, you can use Professional Facebreaker to start digging through your library to get more non-creature spells to flicker your Dockside some more with Displacerkin and keep the loop going and going and going and going. It's really fun to watch. It's like a non-deterministic loop that turns deterministic really quick. So it's really cool and I like it. Same thing again with Smothering Tithe and your wheel effects. And you can basically do the Professional Facebreaker. I don't have Timetwister on here, but it basically just does the thing. How this one works is you draw X cards, make X times 3 treasure tokens for X times 3 and plus draws with Professional Facebreaker. So that basically means you cast Wheel of Fortune, you draw 7 cards. Your opponents will draw 21 cards, so you'll make 21 treasure tokens, and that equals 21 impulse draws. So with that, you'll have access to up to 28 cards. And once again, if you can't win with 28 cards, I don't know how you plan on winning. I've never had a time where I fizzled out with that much mana. I've done this exact combo before, but if you can't get there with your deck, let's have a deck tech talk. All right. Next one, Underworld Breach plus Satya on board and Jessica's Will on board and graveyard, and your opponents need to have at least 4 cards in hand. Okay. And you want to have X cards in your graveyard. All right. So how this combo works is you'll impulse draw X cards from your library and create extra red mana for each card in your opponent's hand above 3 cards. And note, this combo is usually used to get to one of the mass infinite mana or draw engines listed above or one to the finishers list below. Okay. So the application of this, how this all works is, this was just a life, like a lesson combo that I kind of just learned from just playing the game. And so what you do is, if you have these 2 cards in your hand and your opponents have a lot of cards, and granted, this is something I would recommend doing with under a silence effect or whatever, not like to do it safe. But what you can do is, since your commander's out, you'll get both modes of Jessica's Will. You cast your Breach and then you cast your Jessica's Will. And as long as you have, for example, let's be kind. Let's say you mill 30 cards. Like, let's say you have 30 cards in your game because it's like turn 5 or 6. It's just been a real slugfest. You can leverage this mana the same way you would with a will, but you'll impulse draw these cards off the top of your library and you'll have access to your full graveyard, and you'll keep pitching 3 cards as you do the combo to continue to do things. Now, in this example, LEDs in the graveyard, I just milled a bunch of random cards. That's not the point. The main part to keep in mind is you can feel comfortable that if your commander's out and you have Breach and Jessica's Will, it doesn't make sense, but I've actually found you're able to naturally, non-deterministically storm into a win, which is super powerful. And this is, once again, this is not just for this specific list. If you run Jessica's Will and Underworld Breach and you have a pretty moderately decent cheap commander, you can do this in any Jeskai list. And probably is it as well, but more Jeskai because you'll have the White Sveens and all the other shenanigans and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. Now, as you can know, as you probably saw in this list, these are just your mass infinite mana and draw engines. These are not finishing the games. These are setting you up to finish the game. So then your question is, well, T, that's cool that you can draw your whole library or mill your whole library or impulse draw your whole library. How are you winning the game? Don't worry, we got you. How you win the game is, before I get into how to win the game, I want to bring up this. Brass's Tunnel Grinder. We talked about this Displacer Kitten. We talked about this loop. We're not running it. Another combo that we're not choosing to run is the Displacer Kitten plus Aether Channeler combo plus a 0 mana rock or net positive rock. We're not doing that because it just gives you infinite colorless mana or infinite mana. It doesn't really do anything else. You can't loop it in any way to do infinite draws because of how the stack works. If you're interested, put it down below. I'll let you know why. All right. Next, we're not running this convoluted combo for infinite turns. We actually have another infinite turns combo that we run in the list that we actually can, we'll be talking about in a second. So these are combos that I was thinking about running that I'm not currently running, that either would let you make infinite mana or infinite draws for your list, okay? But let's talk about finishers, all right? First one, Brain Freeze, Underworld Breach, Lion's Eye Diamond, or Lotus Petal, and then you're just gonna pass the turn to either cause your opponents to draw from an empty library, or you can cast a force draw spell, which can be Force of Will. It can be not Force of Will. It can be Wheel of Fortune, Windfall, or Fairy Mastermind. Okay, clean, simple. Next will be Brain Freeze once again with Infinite Storm. From Infinite Storm cast triggers, for example, with Barrin and Dockside, and then once again pass a turn or cast a free draw spell. Simple. A force draw spell. Okay. Next, we enter in, we're winning with Brain Freeze, so now we're winning with Angel's Grace. This is where we get into, like, if you see this bag of metaphorical bag, I'm opening the bag and I'm going into the bag. Stay tuned. We got Angel's Grace, okay? If you have this in your hand or in the graveyard and you have Underworld Breach on board, Lion's Eye Diamond on board, and Wheel of Fortune or Windfall, and this is, say, for example, you don't have access to your Brain Freeze, you can cast Angel's Grace and then continue to wheel, and you'll kill the table but won't kill yourself. And the reason we love this combo is because we can win through the One Ring with this combo. We actually recently just had some gameplay that will be probably dropping. If you haven't seen it, it was our Kiki Jiki gameplay where I exiled my Angel's Grace and I was looking for a way to kill kill one player who had protection from the One Ring. So just being able to win through the One Ring, even though not everyone is running it like when it first came out, it's still something really powerful. So keep it going. It's really simple. These are all breach combos. Some using Brain Freeze, and if we don't have access to Brain Freeze, then we have the Angel's Grace to be able to kill the table. Next, we have Angel's Grace plus infinite mana or infinite treasures. We can do and have Fairy Mastermind on the board. So what we do is we cast Angel's Grace and then put infinite triggers of Fairy Mastermind on the board, draw the table out, and we kill the table. Once again, this beats a player who has the One Ring. They're not immortal. Next, we have Angel's Grace in hand. And this is our infinite turn combo. So we'll have Angel's Grace in hand or in our graveyard, and then we'll have the extra turn spell in our hand or in the graveyard, which can be Final Fortune, Last Chance, Warrior's Oath, and all the shenanigans, okay? And then we have Pinnacle Monk. This is the MDFC land that says when it enters the battlefield, return target instant sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. And so what we do is we also want Displacer Kitten on the board. This combo is a lot of cards to put together, but this is you can do this post Dockside Barrin-Master Wizard because these are both 2/2s, so you can get them on Pure Recruiter or Recruiter Guard. And in addition, these Angel's Grace and Final Fortune, Last Chance, and Warrior's Oath all are 2 CMC or down, so you can get these with Spell Seeker, okay? And so what you do is and I can show you all better than I can tell you. Let's reset this. Move all this to the library. So what you do is put Angel's Grace into your hand. Then you put Last Chance into your hand. And then you put Displacer Kitten into your hand. And then you put Pinnacle Monk into your hand. All right. And so you cast Displacer Kitten, you cast Pinnacle Monk. And so what you do is you'll cast Angel's Grace, or no, probably want to cast this list. Cast your extra turn spell, and then cast Angel's Grace. The Displacer Kin trigger will go off, targeting the Pinnacle Monk, allowing you to put the last chance back in your hand. Okay, this will go to graveyard. Go to your next turn, draw a card. Then you just do whatever you want. Go to combat, hit somebody, frolic in the daisies or some shit like that, and then you'll do it all over again. But as you can see, Last Chance says when you take the extra turn at the beginning of the next end step, you lose the game. So to keep yourself from losing the game, you'll cast Last Chance again, triggering the Pinnacle Monk off the Displacer Kin trigger. You'll bounce the Angel's Grace back to your hand. Last Chance will go to graveyard. You'll cast Angel's Grace again, and boom, Last Chance will go back to your hand. And you just do that loop. Go to your next turn, draw a card, and Winch Watch repeat. You draw your entire library if you haven't already drawn your library, and you can do infinite combat damage with your commander. If you have like a Cyclonic Rift, bounce all the creatures, and just do infinite commander damage. So that's really cool. This one's really clean. I really don't use this combo more that often, but for me, Displacer Kin is already a mainstay. Angel's Grace is already a mainstay. The extra turn spells are already a mainstay. And so I just added Pinnacle Monk because it was just an easy way to just have another combo on the list that's just, hey, if all else fails, I can take infinite turns. All right, next we've already talked about this. Blind Obedience is an outlet for infinite, with infinite white mana and or treasures, weakened and infinite cast triggers. We can use Barrin, Wizard, Dockside, or Pinnacle Monk and Displacer Kin and 2 instances of sorceries from our last combo, and we can gain infinite life. Our opponents lose infinite life, and we can get this through. Thank you, Digital Cyclo. We got Digital Cyclo saying that's stupid spicy. I'm telling you, it don't hurt. It really just don't hurt. You just run it in the list. It just doesn't hurt. But we've talked about this already. Blind Obedience, infinite treasures. We already have Barrin Dockside, and we've already talked about we go from Imperial Recruiter to Spellseeker to Muddle to make sure to Blind Obedience. We kill the table like that. Once again, all these win cons are they just natural cards that we run. We didn't need Thassa's Oracle. If you're wondering why we're not running Thassa's Oracle, here it is. So many cards we just get there. These are great winning colors. So great win con, we can win through the One Ring. When it comes to our next combo, it's very similar to our last one, except what we will do is it's using Lightning Bolt. And I actually shout out to what community was this? It was the Thrasios Timna? No, Dargo Thrasios list. I got this from the Dargo Thrasios list. So how this combo works is, say you've already won with Barrin and Dockside. So you got your Dockside on the board, you got Barrin on the board, and you just finish the loop, and now you're gonna go get your Pinnacle Monk, and then you're gonna use your Spellseeker to go get Lightning Bolt. All right, so your Lightning Bolt goes to your hand. So all right, so what you do is you just let me do the full combo. Go get Spellseeker, ETB, go get that. So all you do is at this point, you cast Lightning Bolt to somebody's face. You do 3 damage to their face. Then you at first would have the Pinnacle Monk to your hand. So you'll cast Pinnacle Monk, put Lightning Bolt back into your hand, and then you'll use the Barrin-Master Wizard's ability, pay 2 mana, sack one of your infinite treasures, bounce the Pinnacle Monk to your hand. Let me see it. Bounce Pinnacle Monk into your hand, recast Pinnacle Monk, bouncing Lightning Bolt to your hand, and instead of using Eternal Witness, we're using Pinnacle Monk as an Eternal Witness. Loop, 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 and you just hit the tape, heap the people in the face for infinite damage. Once again, we don't need Thassa's Oracle. It's literally a thing where after really getting to know this list, I just said, why am I running Thassa's Oracle? I don't need it. So we can do infinite non-combat damage to our opponents very simply like that. I really love this because it's really spicy, and it's just, to be honest, it's just we're using a Lightning Bolt, a land, Displacer Kin, which already combos off with Teferi, and we're using what's it called? No, we're using a Lightning Bolt, Infinite Treasures, which we'll already have off our combo, Pinnacle Monk and Barrin-Master Wizard. It's just simple. Notably though, we can do the same combo similar to what we did with the Angel's Grace and the extra turn. We can do the combo where instead of using the Barrin-Master Wizard to loop the Pinnacle Monk, we can go Lightning Bolt with Pinnacle Monk and then follow that up by going Displacer Kin with either Rite of Flame or Jessica's Will. And before we use the the Angel's Grace to bounce the last chance and take infinite turns and draw, we can use the Rite of Flame or Jessica's Will with the Lightning Bolt to infinitely flicker the Pinnacle Monk with the Displacerkin. So it's the same loop like that, but we infinitely ping people in that manner. So it's really, really, I kid you not, it's really dope to just be able to say I can use my recruiters. Once again, the reason we added Delney to the list, the reason we just added so many 2 and lower creatures to the deck is because everything, all of our combos are just accessible to us once we have that Barren Dockside loop under our control. Okay, so the last combo we had is one we added to the deck. I've never done it before, but it's like my last, like if all else fails, I'm talking about if all my other win cons are gone, or if I just want to win with Flare, I can go have my Flamescroll on board without Summoning Sickness, or have it in hand and a way to give it haste, i.e. Satya gives pseudo haste because it puts it in attack and attacking. And if we have infinite red mana or infinite treasures, we can do infinite combat damage to each opponent without a blocker. For each Unsummoned Sickness Flamescroll Celebrant. Notably, our commander makes copies. So say if we were already stacking the table out, had 2 or 3 we had 2 or 3 Flamescroll Celebrants already on board, then we just attack with them, and then when they don't block because they don't have blockers, so we either killed them, overload a Cyclone Rift or whatever not, we can follow that up by putting infinite mana into our Flamescroll Celebrant to make them infinitely, give them infinite +2/+0 until end of turn, and we just boop, just end the game along that line. All right, so, and notably, if they do have blockers and we have a Delney Streetwise Lookout, we can go into combat, attack, and if they have creatures with power 3 or greater, they can't block with them. And then we follow that up by going, all right, you can't block before damage, pump our creatures, kill you like that. So just a suite of win cons that have nothing to do with Thassa's Oracle, and none of these cards are ever dead. And I really, really love that. Notably, some win cons I'm not running, we brought it up. Thassa's Oracle, we're not running that. We talked about the Lightning Runner. All of these win cons, if you are wondering what I do in my free time, I found every scenario where I could win with Lightning Runner and Delney, Lightning Runner and Roaming Throne. I figured out that if you have Lightning Runner and 2 energy plus an extra turn effect, you can take infinite turns. It's really convoluted and really cool. But once again, it's too much mana to get the job done, in my opinion. And I had to let it go for something that's a lot more efficient, lean, and clean. And so, yep, let it go. If you're all, like we're already aware, I'm not on the Port Razor because Satya doesn't actually give haste. Port Razor requires your opponents to have 0 blockers, so I'm not on Port Razor as well. I'm not running the Aggravated Assault combo. I don't think it's bad. It does let you combo with Dockside and Professional Facebreaker. They're not bad. I just personally, they're not I just personally, Aggravated Assault is not doing anything outside of winning. And so we're literally sitting there like, all right, I have 1 draw to win the game, or I have a Heuristic Study, and this 1 draw has to be an interactive spell. I draw that card. It's an Aggravated Assault. I'm going to look at myself. Why didn't I put Muddle to make sure in this list so I can counter their Tainted Pact or counter their Intuition or whatever not? So we want all our cards to be doing something, and since our colors are so good for interacting, that's where our head's at, and that's where we want to be. So if you would like to see the full combos for these, please check out the primer. We run through it very, very smoothly, and it kind of breaks down everything. Notably, we're also this is actually something I want to take a sec to talk about, why we're not running the Dualcaster Mage and Twin Flame multi-duplication and or Heat Shimmer combo. If you're not familiar with how these things work, Dualcaster Mage says it enters the battlefield, copy target, insert a sorcery spell. You may choose new targets for the copy, and then spells like Twin Flame basically say is choosing the number of target creatures you control. For each of them, create a token that's a copy of it for each of that creature, except it has haste. Exile those tokens at the beginning of the next end step. So what you do is you have a creature on board, you cast Twin Flame, hold priority, cast Dualcaster Mage. Dualcaster Mage is the battlefield. You make a copy of the Twin Flame in the stack, and then you will basically copy the Dualcaster Mage in the battlefield to make infinite Dualcaster Mages. This is a great combo, and it gets the job done. The reason we're not personally running it is with the current iteration of the deck, we're using our combat step to actually win. So what happens is let's restart this one more time. With the current iteration, let's go say Imperial Recruiter.
Say we have Imperial, say we draw Imperial Recruiter return. We drew it, that's a draw. All right, we have Satya on board, all right? We use 2 colors in red to cast Imperial Recruiter, we go get Dockside. Boom. It's turn 5, whatever. 8 treasures, say we make 8 treasures, okay? Then we go to combat, we attack with Saya, and then we make a copy of Imperial Recruiter. Boom, Magical Christmas Land. It's not even that, this happens a lot. Watch the gameplays. But we make a copy of Imperial Recruiter. Now we're sitting there like, all right, for sure, we just go get Barrin-Master Wizard. Boom. Make infinite treasures with Dockside, and then we can just do infinite loops with this. The problem we face is, though, yes, we could take an extra turn with Last Chance or Final Fortune to win with Dualcaster Mage, Twin Flame, but what if we're already in the extra turn? And what if we don't have access to Angel's Grace? To do this line, we have to use our combat step. So unfortunately, combos like the Dualcaster Mage that leverage the combat step isn't the best for this list specifically, because it requires us to have to it requires us to go against what the deck actually wants, which is to use the combat step to set up for a win or set up for value. Doesn't make this combo bad, just not exactly what the list needs. Okay, so we keep going. We're not running. There is a combo for infinite treasures if you want to, but I'm personally not running it before the Pinnacle Muck, Twin Flame, and Dockside. You basically use the Strive ability with Twin Flame, and if your opponents are creating at least six artifacts and enchantments, you can make infinite treasures. The biggest thing is, though, because this loop doesn't include in the recruiter, we can't really bounce the recruiter to tutor our list out. And yeah, the last notable thing is, I want to bring this up because this was actually a really big point. Letting Roaming Throne go was not an easy decision. So for those pilots who are sitting there like, yo, T, I know you let Roaming Throne go, but it's one of my favorite cards. I think you're tweaking. It was really tough for me to let it go because Roaming Throne was technically a 1-card combo with Saya in those stacked out board states, where you basically, I did all the math here, but basically this is how it works. If you have Satya on board and you cast Roaming Throne, you enter it and just name it human. When you go to combat, you'll make Satya trigger twice, and you'll have 4 energy to start keeping those Roaming Thrones, okay? Instead of 2 energy, you make 4. So over time, it says over 5 turns, you can do 183 damage to the table, which will completely blow the table out, and you'll have 20 excess energy. That was why this combo was so hard to get rid of, because the deck originally was falling prey to stacks because the deck was slower because I was trying to win with lightning. But when I added in the Baron Dockside combo and I added in more interaction, I was able to pick off stacks pieces more cleanly that would stop me from winning and let me move from, hey, I need this Roaming Throne to win the game, to Delney gets the job done and it's more easy to tutor home. Let's get the Delney job done. So if you're still running Roaming Throne, you really can't let it go. Just trust me, like, it's one of those spells that it's not bad, but it's just not needed. Delney, in my opinion, and through my experience, has been a better replacement for it. And shout out to the people in the first video who recommended Delney. It was really, really good and really allowed me to like be explosive in a certain way. All right. Now, the last thing I want to tell you all about one of the lines is that there's combo lines, okay? There are a plethora of combo lines, and I want to go through each of these combo lines and very quickly just show you all how to do them. In our, if you go to our, if you go to the list on, in the link of the bio or where it is, you go to enable tags, we have these things called 1-card combos and combo line enablers. All right. If we draw any of these 4 cards, we can win the game. Okay. Imperial Recruiter and Recruiter Guard are the Dockside Baron combo that we've been talking about this entire time. Intuition, if you're familiar with that, Intuition basically you just go get Severe Reclamation, Underworld Breach, and Lion's Eye Diamond. Boom, no matter what they give you, you just take that card to the hand, get the Breach either out the graveyard or cast it from your hand, and you just recast Intuition with the Brain Freeze. And the last combo line that we're running is with Spellseeker. Spellseeker, specifically with Jeskai Plus list, we can use a card called Ephemerate to basically combo line off and then win the game in a very beautiful, eloquent way. And so what Ephemerate is, it is exile target creature you control, then return to the battlefield under your control. So how that combo line works, and yes, I will show it because I actually didn't know. Not everybody knows how this combo works, so I will show y'all how it works. So
I'm not going to track mana or cards in the graveyard, but just imagine there's 10 cards in the graveyard and I have infinite mana. Well, not infinite, but say I have enough mana. It's a little mana intensive, but it's not as, in this list specifically, we make a shit ton of mana in that turn 3 to 4 range very easily. All right. So what you do is you cast Spellseeker. The ETB goes off. Very simply. You go Ephemerate. Boom. You put it to your hand. You cast Ephemerate targeting Spellseeker. Okay. Then two things will happen. First, it will reflicker itself. The spell will resolve and it won't go to the graveyard. It'll go to the rebound zone because it says if the spell was cast from your hand, exile it as it resolves. At the beginning of the next upkeep, you may cast this spell from exile without paying the mana cost. And that's very, very, very important. Okay, so keep note of that. All right, but we just flickered Spellseeker. Boom, it just came back. So I like getting Last Chance because it doesn't get hit by Dispel. But you know, technically, if they had a Dispel, they would have used it on the Ephemerate, but that's just my copium. I'll get Last Chance and I'll cast Last Chance. So at this point, we've only used 6 mana, okay? Last Chance lets us take an extra turn and we die on the extra turn at the beginning of the next end step. So at this point, we've only used 2 colors, a blue, 2 red, and 1 white. 6 mana. I'm sorry, 6 mana on turn 3 to 4 in cEDH. It's really easy. So we're good, all right? At this point now, what I will do is I'll go to my next turn, untap, upkeep, Ephemerate will go off. It will cast it for free on the Spellseeker, and then I will go get an Enlightened Tutor. Boom, and I'll tap 1 white to go get an Enlightened Tutor, to go cast an Enlightened Tutor. This is where we start the Breach line, okay? Go get Underworld Breach, and we're Gucci. Look at that. Look at that. We get an Underworld Breach. We put on top of our library. We draw for turn. We cast Underworld Breach. And if you look at our graveyard, we're completely set up to win the game. What do you mean, T? How are we set up to win the game? Wait a second. We're right there. Check this out. What we do is first, we will. Granted, now you need, I think you need, you need 7 cards in your graveyard to do this. So you'll need 7 expendable cards. It's not very hard to get that set up, but just be aware you need cards in your graveyard. But what you'll first do, you'll cast the Ephemerate targeting from your graveyard. Because you cast it from your graveyard, it will go back to your graveyard, okay? So you cast Ephemerate targeting your Spellseeker, and this time you'll go get Brain Freeze. All right. Close and shuffle, Brain Freeze will go to your hand, and then you'll cast the Enlightened Tutor from your graveyard again, and then you will, and make sure we're escaping. I want to keep this clear. I know I'm skipping those steps, but please don't skip the fact you need cards in your graveyard, and this time you actually can get rid of the Ephemerate because we're not going to need it again. You're not going to need the Last Chance either, but please be aware that like you gotta have the cards in your graveyard. All right, so then your Enlightened Tutor, go get Lion's Eye Diamond. Boom, put that on top of your library. Then you just cast this Brain Freeze, you got off the Spellseeker, and then boom. What? Combo! You just show the table at that point, hey, I have Underworld Breach, Brain Freeze, and Lion's Eye Diamond available to me, and then you can just mill yourself for a bunch and then show them that you have like a Wheel of Fortune. This is what I usually do. Like, I'll show these 3 cards. If I milled a wheel, that's a tongue twister. If I mill the wheel, then I can. It allows me just to say, hey, I'm gonna mill you all out with the Brain Freeze, and I'm gonna cast the will and kill you all. If my library is small, though, I can just also, once again, like we talked about before, do Angel's Grace, and then boom. So I can will them out. Even if it kills me, it won't kill me. It'll kill them. Okay. And notably, if we have another extra turn effect in this deck, Final Fortune. So even if we need to take another extra turn, we still have the Angel Grace to do that. So that's how the Spellseeker line works. It's super, super simple, and it just gets the job done. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's really, really great. We run in this list for a multitude of reasons. The main reason is I love the 1-card combos that are available. We got guys saying this is my favorite line when I played Murder Bird. I kid you not. Like, shout out to Murder Bird. Like, it's just, there's some security in my heart that I always get whenever it's just like, hey, I'm losing the game. I know that Roxai or Blue Farm or Kennan's gonna win on their next turn. I really feel it. You get that gut feeling. I just need a top deck to win the game. And knowing that you just need mana in this 1 card to win the game, of course, cards in your graveyard, but that just comes from you playing, is really great. And so this is one of my favorite lines. The cool thing that you have to be aware about this, we're running this line in there for 2 reasons. The security of our hearts to know we can top deck 1 card and get the job done. And the second thing that you can do is you realize is that because of how our commander reads, Satya can allow us to do this line without Ephemerate. So say, for example, Ephemerate got exiled early in the game, or some freak thing happened and Ephemerate's in exile. We don't care. We can do this exact combo with Satya on board. So say if we go into that same turn, I'm gonna move all these cards. Let's just move all these cards to our hand. They're not in our hand, just follow me. All right, go to that same hand, we top deck Satya, we have top deck Spellseeker, we have Satya on board. We cast the Spellseeker and we go get Last Chance, all right? Then we go to combat, we attack, and then we go get Inline Tutor because Satya allows us to make a copy of Spellseeker. All right, so we make a copy of that, And actually, let's do it, we can do it the other way as well, where we can get Brain Freeze first, depending on how we want to do it, but either or, doesn't matter, okay? So then what we do is, when we go to that, we cast the Last Chance, then we go to the next turn and we cast the Inline Tutor in the upkeep, go get the Underworld Breach, put down top of our library, draw it for turn, and then we follow that up with just doing the exact same line, but we start off this time by going, all right, we will go, let's see, cast the Breach, use the Inline Tutor to go get the LED once again, and then we already have the Brain Freeze in our hand. And so at this point, we can get any other spell we want and leverage the combat step again. But the cool thing about this line is that you can do the line even without Ephemerate, which is so fucking cool. So I just love the flexibility of this line to use the commander to also do the combo line again, okay? And if we go to our breach lines, we have the Spellseeker breach line and we have the alternate Spellseeker breach line. And we've already explained the intuition line. If you're not familiar, once again, like I said, just look at me. Intuition, Savine's Reclamation, Lion's Eye Diamond, Underworld Breach. Okay? No matter what they give you, if you have 4 colorless and a white or a red, you can still win on your next turn, because if they give you Breach to your hand, then you just go ahead and just cast the Breach for 1 in a red. Okay? And then you go into Intuition, go find Brain Freeze. If they give you the Savines, use 2 colors and a white, 2 colors and white. Boom, go get the Breach and still do the same thing. If they give you LED, you go to your next turn, cast LED. If you have 5 mana, you'll be set. You don't have to crack LED immediately. Say if you want to fight, use your counter magic to protect the Savine's Reclamation. But what you can also do is you can go ahead and just use the LED, 2 mana in the LED, crack all that, discard your hand, bring back the Breach, and because Savine's Reclamation, if you're not familiar with this card, it has the ability to copy when you flashback it from the graveyard right here. Boom. And it says, if the spell was cast from the graveyard, you may copy this spell. You may choose new targets to the copy. So say if you don't have counter magic in hand, you're not trying to protect the Savines, what you can do is once you crack the LED, you target the Breach, and then the other copy of Savine's Reclamation can allow you to bring back the LED as well to continue the loop. Just just go get the Intuition and just win the game. All right, so we're aware of that one. What happened? Okay, MTG Boss says, what happened if this gets played on you on Ravenous Trap? Well, what's that? Ravenous Trap. Let's see. Let's see. If an opponent has 3 or more cards put in their graveyard from anywhere this turn, you may pay 0 rather than. Well, if your opponents are playing Ravenous Trap against you, I guess you're fucked, and you go win with Dockside Barrin-Master Wizard. That's funny, bro. Yeah, check out the gameplay. I'll tag it up right here. It was actually in a game where someone, my opponent, I did an Intuition, and then they casted a Born Upon the Wind into an Agatha Soul Cauldron, exiled my Breach, and I basically just said, all right, well, that line's gone. Next turn, I literally won with the Teferi Displacer Kitten. So you just got to be ready to pivot. So to answer your question, what happens if you get played on your Ravenous Trap? Then you gotta pivot. All right. So that's pretty much that's all our Breach lines. We also do have Infinite Treasure lines. We can do the same. I will show you all this. How this works is move on to library. So we have infinite for Intuition. Intuition is not limited to, if you're aware, it's not limited to just the Breach line. You can also use Intuition to do your Barrin-Master Wizard line. If for some reason you need a lot of mana, in the primary breaks down the exact amount of mana, it's a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest. It's a lot of mana needed. but it's something that you can do. So I'm going to skip the mana needed, but understand that for the prerequisites you need, oh, not this one. You need, give me 1 second. Let's go. Yeah, there we go. You can see here, it's a lot of mana need to do this combo. And it's not something I usually do, but if, for example, if your breach is not available to you, this is another option for you to be able to go down. Let's say JM says, hey, Thunder, hold on. I got to show you some hotness. You are missing out on Jessica's newest, oldest tech, Aetherflux Channeler. Triggers twice with Delney. It creates your own Hullbreaker horror with Displacer and rocks. Jessica, I saw Aether Channeler. Yo, coming over from YouTube. Yo, what's up, Nova? All right, JDM. Oh, you missed that part. Okay. So we got to go back to real quick. Go to win cons. We're actually, that's one of our lines that we're not actually running currently right now with, what's this called? We're not running. Thank you for the follow. We're choosing not to actually run Aetherflux Channeler right now. There is like a Displacerkin Aether Channeler, and there might actually be some special way where we can use the copy of our Aether Channeler to. Nah, I'm overthinking this, but we're choosing not to run that one personally because we it can make infinite mana, but we don't have a way. If we don't have our recruiter in our hand, we can't follow anything up. And because the combo doesn't include Dockside, like it requires us to have to go recruiter into Aether Channel, go to combat, go get a Displacerkin. A Displacerkin, the Dockside allows the combo to be easy with Barrin-Master Wizard and Baron, versus this one, if we were to go recruiter for Aether Channeler into combat into Displacerkin plus the mana rocks or whatever, not, it's a little tougher. So it's not bad, but I did think about that one. With Delney, it's infinite card draw as well. Go ahead and type the combo out real quick. I'm gonna explain this intuition line real quick, but go ahead and type that combo out because I think you may be onto something, bro. JDM's in his bag. Okay. Intuition combo for the Baron Dockside loop. All you need to know for this line, all you got to be aware is that it takes a lot of mana. I am not going to recommend that you sit here and you do this combo if you have Breach in your library. But all you need to know is that you can either go for each, you need to have either Recruiter, Savine's Reclamation, and Barrin-Master Wizard. Those are your three targets, no matter what they give you. If you have enough mana, or if the Dockside is that crazy, they can still go for the win. You can still get there. After you end up using the Recruiter of the Guard to go get the Barrin-Master Wizard to make the infinite treasures, and then follow that up with using the Recruiters to do the lines that we talked about before. The biggest reason, I will state this again, this is not the first line I will recommend doing with Intuition because of how much mana it takes. You see this 9 mana, and this takes 8 mana, depending on what they give you, whether they give you the Recruiter, Savine's, or Dockside. It's just really expensive. Now, this goes down expeditiously cheaper if the Dockside is like 10 or 15, which is possible. And say if you have a Delney out, you can even make it bigger. I would not recommend this one. So we'll just leave it there. Cool? Capiche? Boom. All right. We've already talked about the Recruiter lines with Dockside. It's pretty simple. Recruiter to Dockside, that's 5 mana. Commander, Baron, boom. Very easy. And we can use cards like Delney to double the Docksides and do other things along that line. The last thing I want to break down, though, is the Recruiter. We can, earlier we talked about an infinite turns combo that we can do with leveraging let's bring it back. We talked about earlier that we can take infinite turns with this list by going Displacer, Kitten, and then we do Pinnacle, and then we do Displacerkin, Pinnacle Monk, and then, excuse me, what was it? Last Chance or Final Fortune, either or we go Angel's Grace. Okay, Pinnacle Monk, Displacerkin. Okay, so this is the card combo that we can choose to do in order to take infinite turns. So now you'll say, T, how are we able to go from this singular card, let's say Recruiter of the Guard, for example, or we've been saying all right, boom, put that to the hand. So then you ask me, T, how are we able to go from Recruiter of the Guard to this full combo? Don't worry, I'll explain. Follow me. How this works is you have Satya on board already, or you can cast it. It depends how much mana you have available. You can cast the Recruiter of the Guard, okay? And then you go get Spellseeker. ETB, you can put the Spellseeker into your hand, all right? These are in the hand. Please ignore that these are in the hand for this time. Just follow me. Just come to my world. All right, put Spellseeker into your hand, then you'll go to combat, and then you'll boom. You'll make a copy of Recruiter of the Guard, and then you can go get Pinnacle Monk, because it's a 2/2. So now you have, we'll put these over here. These are not important for now. Okay, boom. You will go get, you'll be able to make a copy and you'll get Pinnacle Monk. So now you have Pinnacle Monk in your hand and Spellseeker in your hand. Now you will cast Spellseeker. Oh my gosh, I keep trying to find places to hide these cards. You'll cast Spellseeker and then you will go get Last Chance, okay? Last Chance will go to the graveyard. And I believe, if I remember correctly, we're not using it. I lied. You will cast Spellseeker and you'll get Ephemerate. Yes. Bam. I lied. I'm a fibber. You'll do the Spellseeker, cast Ephemerate, that goes to the rebound zone, and then you will get the Last Chance. Same as before, these cards are not in your hand yet. Then you'll go to your extra turn, boom. In the upkeep, the Ephemerate will go off, and you will target either the Recruiter or the Spellseeker. It doesn't matter, but let's just say, for example, we just Ephemerate, boom, Spellseeker, we'll put Angel's Grace into our hand, okay? At this point, Displacer Kin's not in our hand yet, but if you're following, you're at this point where it's like, oh, I see where you're going, T. All right, you go to combat, you've already drawn, like you draw for turn, whatever that card is, you'll attack this time, target the Recruiter of the Guard, and then Displacer Kin goes to your hand. You've assembled the full combo. How much mana it is? It's a lot of mana. This is not a combo I'm recommending, but it's something that, once again, we make a shit ton of mana with, whether it be Smothering Tide with a wheel, multiple dock sides. It's just really possible. And say if Barrin-Master was not available to us, it's another spicy one card combo that we can just take infinite turns if that's the way we gotta go. All right, so then we just boom, make a copy of Recruiter. We put we put the Displacer Kit in our hand. At this point, all we do is we just go cast Pinnacle Monk, return Last Chance to our hand, cast Displacer Kin, cast the Angel's Grace because we're in an extra turn. We can return the Ephemerate to our hand if we want to as protection, but it doesn't matter. Then we'll cast the Last Chance again to return Angel's Grace to our hand, and now there's the loop. At this point, now we can take infinite turns to either infinite commander damage. We can tutor all of our creatures out, tutor all our instants or sorceries out that cost 2 or less mana, and then bada bing, bada boom, you got infinite turns, all based off your Recruiter of the Guard. We did it. Yeah. This is a fun combo that I just went in my bag for. I would really have been enjoying the creativity that can be offered for this line. This is just something I really love, and I really would recommend you all. Any of these combo lines are available to you. Let's see. Now we got to go back to JDM. Let's see. Very good questions. All right, so first, before we go to JDM, we have MTG Plus. How do you get around humility? How we get around humility is we do breach lines. I know it's crazy. It's that simple. I know. I gotta. Oh, y'all are bringing me so much joy right now. The craziest thing about this list is that it wins on 2 completely different accesses. You know what I'm saying? We have the one side of it where we're full creature combo, and it's symbiotic and it's helpful to our breach lines. But then we have this full non-creature combo that uses Brain Freeze, LED, and Underworld Breach that can still help us do things with our creature lines. So it's funny. There is one completely creature line, one complete non-creature line, but they're symbiotic and they help each other, but they're completely independent. So yeah, that's basically how we win through humility. JDM says Aether Channeler triggers twice with. Okay, we got to pull this up. So what we're talking about right now is, what is this card called again? All right, so what we're going to talk about now is Aether. Where is it? Aether Channel. There we go. We'll throw this in the list for a little bit. If you're gonna do it, you gotta do the good art. You know what I'm saying? Full art, baby. All right. Let's go to playtest. Move all this to hand. All right. So let's see. We want to use Delney, Aether Channeler. Let's see. So he says Aether Channeler triggers twice with Delney. So you choose different modes. 1 draw, 1 bounce. This happened on ETB, which is repeatable with Kitten. So then you go Kitten. Okay. All right. And then you go, let's just grab 2 box. Soul Ring and Crypt. Okay. So how the loop would work then is you cast the Crypt. That would trigger Displacer Kitten twice because of Delney. You target 1 at, it doesn't matter. 1 goes at Delney, it doesn't fucking matter. But the more important one is you target Aether Channeler, and because Aether Channeler has power 2 or less, it will trigger twice. So then you'll return the target non-land permanent to the owner's hand for the first trigger, and the second trigger you choose draw a card. Boom. Oh, that does work. And then you recast, you tap the Mana Crypt, you do the Soul Ring, and loop, loopity loop, loop, and each time you draw a card. That does work. Let's see. Okay, sounds good, Garrett. Thanks. A huge benefit of Aether Channeler is that it can be played naked and remove stacks pieces or anything problematic, or it can cantrip, and its effect is an ETB. We have MTG Boss says, yeah, but it has no ability, so how would that work? Oh, no, he's talking about MTG. He's talking about, JDM is talking about, he's not talking about under humility. He's just talking about it as a combo piece. Let's see. And then MTG Boss says, LOL, yeah, that's fair. I was asking because of my Shurikai Genesis engine. This is MTG Hunter in your Discord. What's up, MTG Hunter? Yeah. Oh, exactly. We had a game where MTG Hunter was, we played, and he there was a humility on board that I actually protected with a deflecting SWAT. And unfortunately, man, they had the one piece of interaction to help stop it. I had the counter magic to stop MTG Hunter's what's it called? What is that? Mindbreak Trap. But the player, I was player 3, he was player 4, and he was playing Shurikai, I was playing Satya. But player 2 had a Force Will in hand we knew about, but had no blue spell, but drew 1 more card off Kraken's land, found the blue spell to stop me to counter my spell, and then unfortunately Shurikai had the lock on the game already, and so I was gonna win through it, the humility, but unfortunately it was like, this is a controversial topic. Do you interact with the player when it's clear that another player is going to win, even after that? And I think in this situation, I think he did the right thing, because even though the Shurikai player had the lock on the board with the humility, and he couldn't even win through the humility since he was an Animar deck, it was kind of like, I personally would have said it in that situation, because Shurikai hadn't developed too crazy at that point, I'd have probably said, no, I'm going to interact here. But if he had out the interaction pieces that, I mean, if he had out the crazy draw engine pieces that he had out post my Underworld Breach combo, then it would have been just purely just a thing of like, bro, I'm not interacting with this, we lose, because I'm at this point I'm king making, so it's a case by case thing. But I definitely a very good question. We go back to JDM though. A huge benefit of Aether Channeler is that it can be played naked and remove stacks pieces or anything problematic, or it can cantrip, and its effect is an ETB. Yo, ring me and explain. No, I got it. Yeah. Aether Channeler Plus itself is some same mana cost as Hullbreaker Her and has largely the same effect with upside. Aether Channeler is also turbo off both Recruiter and Recruiter the Guard. Okay. So yeah, I do hear that. So this is where my head's up. Let me move this out the way. So I agree that this is a combo, I want to allow this to marinate and simmer on the head. We're talking about the Aether Channeler plus Delney plus Displacer Kitten combo. I actually want to let this marinate and sit on my head, sit in my heart and my head a little more. The reason that I say that is I think the combo is really cool, but it's a lot of pieces to assemble. And right now, the way the list is set, if we get an Imperial Recruiter or the Recruiter, we can immediately just go get a Dockside. That's 5 mana, and the Dockside mana can be used to either both cast Satya and do the Barrin-Master Wizard combo. So that's only 5 mana that we need to set up. For this, we actually need, so it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's a little bit more expensive, and also there's the most tutors we can get is 2, and these are 3 pieces. You know what I'm saying? Granted, I will not take away the flexibility of Aether Channeler. It's definitely a flexible piece. And so if I'm looking for another interactive piece, I actually really do like this. And I actually run this in my Xenia list. So I definitely want to put this. Actually, no, I have this combo in my Xenia list passively. Oh, you just gave me another combo for my Xenia list. If y'all are not familiar, Xenia is the Bird Bard. From the Bloomborough set. I had brewed this list, and I have all 3 cards in here, so I didn't even think about this combo. So you just gave me another combo for my Xenia. For this list specifically, though, I think for now I'm gonna put this in my sideboard and think about it a little more. The 2 biggest 3 things is it takes 3 cards to set up, and our Recruiter lines only gets 2 cards with it. There probably is a scenario where we can probably get more, but I still think that's the 2 cards is tough. The next thing is the mana cost it takes to pull it off. It doesn't include Dockside or any other mana generators, so it's a little tough. Granted, there's probably shenanigans where we can like cast non-creature spells to get there a little deeper. But the third thing I'll really say is the interaction Aether Channeler offers is sorcery speed. So, and that's in my rule, not my rule, but my saying that I tell people all the time is instant speed is king. And so where the slot I would possibly think about interchanging this with, I'm gonna put this in the sideboard for now, but the spot I would think about switching it with would probably be like an Alchemist Refuge, because Alchemist Retrieval. I keep saying Alchemist Refuge, but I like that this does what Alchemist Refuge does for 1 more mana. Plus, it has the ability to make a flying blocker, which is not nothing. Plus, it has the ability to draw a card. So it does so much more. Plus, it's a combo piece, which is another bump. The only holdup then goes to, okay, what is the likelihood that we do this combo, and is it worth losing the instant speed removal for any non-land permanent at instant speed? And that's where my heart is kind of pulled out. But not to take away from the power of this. At this point, we've talked about all our combos. We've talked about everything. When it comes to our card selection, the rest of our card selection, please, I put it up here. We have another deck tech where we talk about all the other cards on the list. It's very well formatted. The only thing that changes is what we talked about in this video. The thing I want to bring up, though, is my sideboard. And these are cards that I'm currently thinking about adding or are just really thinking about in my head and just kind of just simmer in my head. So the one I want to talk about is Born Upon the Wind, because it sits in the same category as Leyline of Anticipation. So I want to run Born Upon the Wind because I can win with Breach and I can do Barrin-Master Wizard. I can do pretty much all of my combos at instant speed. The problem comes up, and it's not even a problem, but the thing is, though, similar to Dualcaster Mage, we can't leverage the combat step at instant speed. Because we're using the combat step to make the copy of our recruiters or our spell seeker, it kind of defeats the purpose of Born Upon the Wind to enable instant speed wins, meaning we need to already have all the pieces in our hand. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of goes against what the list is trying to do, which is leverage the combat step for our creature lines. And of course, we can just do breach lines whenever we want to do it. But most times I do intuition or instep into the breach line. And at that point, I don't need the Born Upon the Wind. But I kid you not, this is a card I've really been wanting to add to the list, because especially with the recent top deck the championship, a lot of decks were running Born. They were running the kite, not the Kite Cell Arsonist. It was the creature that goes infinite. not infinite, but enables instant speed. If you all know it, please drop it down. Please drop it down below. I can't find it. Oh, there we go. Valley Flood Caller. This one that says you may cast non-creature spells as though they have flash. The rest of the text is, it is what it is. But basically, it's just a thing. It's like these instant speed enablers are super powerful. However, they have this slight bit of a friction with what the list wants to do at what's it called? They have a little friction of what the list wants to do at sorcery speed, which is combat, which you would think would be a hurt thing in the list, but because we're being so explosive on turn 2 to 4, it really doesn't hurt us too often, and we're usually able to hold up a lot of interactions. So these are just two big ones that honestly are born a little bit more, but I do like the freeness of Leyline. I'm not gonna lie. Let's see. Digital says, I think Leyline of Anticipation is a trap. Talk a little bit more. Let's see. I've tried to jam it in a lot of places. All of them tickly feels bad. Okay. MGG Boss says, couldn't you stop a lot with Urtai Wizard Adept? Urtai Wizard Adept? What's that? I forgot what that is. Urtai. Counts as a wizard, counter spell, play this ability as an interrupt. I personally am gonna say no to this card, not because it's bad, but because I don't want to pay 4 mana to counter a spell at with the whole summoning sickness thing. But more of the thing that I'm thinking about is this would take up a slot, and how do I say this? I don't want to knock the card because I don't like knocking people's ideas. But what I'm trying to say is this is a lot of mana to counter a spell when I just rather just run a counter spell. Not to knock it once again, but just a lot of mana to do it. But I've actually never seen this card, so I'm going to think about this one a little bit more. Let's see. Digital says all spells have flash 1. Yeah. MTG with an untapped piece. And training grounds. See, now you trying to change the list, MGG. You trying to change the list. We have Digital saying the Flash Outer. Yeah, that's the Valley Flood Caller. MG Boss says, would Fate Spinner hurt you in your deck too? Let's see, Fate Spinner. What's Fate Spinner again? Fate Spinner says blue and colors and 2 blue. Human Wizard. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, that player chooses draw step, main phase, or combat phase. The player skips each instance of the chosen step or phase this turn. Okay, so this is what I'll say about this. This is a really interesting card, and I would love to see someone play me against this card because I just want to see the dynamic. Because it says at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, because it's asymmetric, which is cool as fuck. That player chooses draw step, main phase. Is it both main phases? Wait, that's fucking fun. Draw step, main phase, or combat phase. The player skips each instance of the chosen step or phase this turn. Okay. No, so it's both main phases or combat step or draw step. What I will say about this card is, it seems like a fun card. It seems like an interesting card. I feel like it really is one of those cards that are going to make people want to remove it on spot, or just say, fuck it. I guess I don't have a combat step this turn, which is fine. The reason I'm going to say no for now is if you look at our list right now, the stacks pieces that we're running, let's go back to here, go to tags. If you look at the list that we're currently running, all the stacks pieces, where we at, baby? Stacks pieces, baby. Come on. There we go. Look at all the stacks pieces run. So take away Fish, take away Ristic, take away Smothering Tithe, and take away Teferi. These are just combo piece, draw engine, value engine, and I count as percentile. These are all just stacks and tax. Take out the tax effects and take out Teferi, because I'm never going to just cast that in pass turn. If you look at our other 2 stack specs, Flamescroll Celebrant and Blind Obedience, they do double duty. They both help us win the game, but they slow down the table in the part where our weak decks are. We know we lose the Magda and Sisay a lot, so Blind Obedience was a necessary evil. Also, Flamescroll Celebrant does the same damage to Nadu because of the Shuko, and it still hits the Kin Index, it hits the Magda decks, it hits the Sisay decks, and you say, well, they're usually trying to win the game by then. But the thing is, though, because of our commander's ability to make multiple copies like we talked about before, it makes multiple copies, permanent copies that can really hurt the table, and just every fetch you can lose 2-3 life. It just really gets out of hand. With that being said, our stacks pieces at this time are not saying, I want to stop you from playing the game. I want to both have the option to silence you or extort the table, but it also is a stacks piece. So that's the mindset of how I built this deck. This is a really cool card. And if you ever built this list, I actually would love to see, what's it called? Someone like, I want to see this in a list because this just is a cool card. I'm gonna throw this down because I've never seen this card before. That's really interesting. So let's see. Let's go back to Leyline for a second. We have JDM saying, so here's my 0.02. Maybe I don't get that lingo on Leyline. Ceiling is super high. It pitches to Chrome Mox. Okay. Force Will and Force Negation, and it completely warps the game if you get it down on 0. Fair. Okay. We have NG Boss says LOL. We have Digital saying, even in my Derevi deck, where I make a lot of mana in combat, is not a great spell to jam. I just feel like it's a dead draw a lot of the time, and it's in the current meta. If you don't get it down on turn 0, it is too slow. It's good in a grindy mid-range game, but I don't know how often we're seeing that. MGG Boss says, yeah. Replying, JDM says, it's great in decks with flex slots such as Rockside. Thank you, JDM. I was just about to bring in Rockside. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw Rockside running late live anticipation, I was like, yo, I think we need to look at this list a little bit more, like at this card a little bit more. Like that was kind of the when I was looking at Rockside's list for inspiration for this list, and it led me to the Gitaxian Probe and the Timetwister and all these other things. That's what kind of made me look at Born Upon the Wind as an inclusion I want to have, because I can win at instant speed, but I told y'all about that friction. Let's see. We have... JM says, it's great in decks with flex size such as Rockside. A list won a huge tournament with it recently. Very true. Digital says, or at least I don't know how often we're planning on having a grindy mid-range game. Okay. He says, MGG Boss says, you don't have enough stacked pieces, LOL. And yeah, it's fair. My win rate says otherwise. All jokes aside, I don't like that. All jokes aside, I tell people this all the time. Actually, check out the deck tech that will be dropping tomorrow about Jiki. It's important that when you're brewing your list, there's no objective troops within Magic. There's very few of them, okay? An objective troop we could say is Mana Crypt is a good card. We know it's a good card. Objectively, it's a good card. There are people who run No Rod who run Mana Crypt to push out the Mana Crypt faster. But when it comes to brewing, the act of saying, hey, this is the right way to brew that deck or the wrong way to brew the deck, it gets a lot tougher because you have to lean on playstyle. I use, for example, the deck that won the Top Deck Invitational. This brother was in his Timna Crom list. The solved list was running Blue Elemental Blast, Angel's Grace ad nauseum, like so many. What was the Black Pact spell? And I was looking at this like these are not TNK staples. Like, what is he doing? But it shows the point I'm trying to make. When you brew your deck, when you're new, yes, look at the standard and see what works. But over time, as you advance as a pilot, that's where you learn yourself and you say, I play best with these cards. These cards and play styles serve me the best. So we use a card like Leyline of Anticipation. I don't know if it's a Rockside staple. I don't play Rockside. But am I going to say, is it clear that whoever thought about it probably led this decision off Leyline being great for their playstyle? Yeah, they said we win at instant speed a lot. I love Leyline. This is the card that I want to do. Same thing goes for Flamescroll Celebrant. For me, for my playstyle, I love silence effects, and I love the synergy it adds to the list. And so it was great for my playstyle, and I will recommend it for other players to run it. But you guys got to think about it like that. It's not about what's objectively right or wrong. We're not trying to shut down ideas. It's more about what fits your play style more and what are you actually looking for in your list. So yeah, let's see. We have JDM saying, isn't Flamescroll there for the back side? I'm not aware of anyone who plays on the front side. Yes. Oh, JDM, you got to check the y'all quick pub for the TC community. We have a gameplay section where people drop their highlights of their games, like really great games. I originally, shout out to the Marty Pilots. I'm always going to give Marty Pilots flowers. Also, shout out to Danny from Move to Combat. So I originally added Flamescroll Celebrant for the backside. I saw the Move to Combat's list, and then I added it to this one. I was like, I'm going to try it out. Took Crush out, added this in, mainly for the backside. And I felt confident that the backside would work because of Marty list. I see Mad Marty list just play this, and it's just as good as Silence because we can't cast spells. What I found is, though, that there are certain games that, especially with Nadu, just wreck and tear in the library, or just activated abilities in general. I've won games where it was on the back of Flamescroll Celebrant, especially on low mulls, where like I had a mulligan where it was like a mull of 4 or 5, and I took a Fairy Mastermind, a Flamescroll, and some mana and some other things. Okay, so what I basically was able to do was, when I saw that the Nadu player was progressing at a very fast rate, I pushed the Flamescroll Celebrant out turn 2. It slowed him down from fully like taking use, and then on the following turn, I cast because I couldn't cast my commander yet. I only had 3 mana. I cast the Mockingbird to make a copy of Flamescroll Celebrant on the front side. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, I'm just testing it out. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. What I ended up finding was astounding, that not only did the Nadu player was not able to fully combo through his thing, he ended up just saying, you know what, I'm not going to untap again, because it's like he knew that he was the threat at the table, however you want to say it. He was everyone was looking at him. And so this brother basically said, I'm going to keep going until I die. And he just ended up killing this stuff off the Nadu triggers. And he can never find enough removal to remove both Flamescroll Celebrants to infinitely go through his deck with the Shuko. And that's when I realized this is a multifaceted card where, yes, the backside is the prime real estate, but the front side is ridiculous because, what the heck? Yeah, the front side is ridiculous because of its ability. Specifically for this list, we can make permanent copies with Satya by attacking, making 2 energy, and keeping that copy around. And though you would say, hey, like, I thought you said you're not a stacks list. Why are you dedicating time and resources to making permanent copies of Flamescroll Celebrant? And what I say back to that, if we already have a draw engine, or if we know for 100% we're going to lose to a Sisay Magda or whatever the heck not, I'd rather guarantee that I get to another turn and then push for my win with my Vantage engine already on board than sit back and, I got to progress my board state, and now I lose because I play the play to progress my board state, but I end up losing. You know what I'm saying? And in that game that I was referencing to, I had a choice between casting the Mockingbird to copy the Flamescroll or holding up Fairy Mastermind to draw some cards. And I said the Fairy Mastermind is not going to draw enough cards in between now and when the Nadu goes. I need to do the Mockingbird because I need to untap again. And that game, we lost to, it was the mono green Yisan deck. They fucking got Yisan to 8 and then crater hoofed. And because the Yisan was that he ended the game at 1 fucking life. He was hit by this Flamescroll Celebrant as well. But it was such a fun experience where it was just like, yo, like, this worked. And the next time that situation came up, I was better adapted to know how to leverage Flamescroll Celebrant to where I was balancing multiple copies of Flamescroll Celebrant with Mockingbird or other things to then be able to win with combat damage after I stopped it was fucking crazy. I stopped I killed the Dahada deck and the Blues Clues deck. Both died because they just had too many activated abilities from the Clues and the Dahada. And then I was going against this Gruul. It was a black and green deck, and they had like a 18-20 or like a 20-20 commander, and I had so many chump blockers just from a Forbidden Orchard. We talked about that, and from Dahada's Forbidden Orchard, I was able just to chump block and just keep the Mockingbird up, so he wasn't able to do his activated ability combo because he had a Protean Hawk combo, and there's activated ability, so with every activation, he was going to lose 3 life, and so he couldn't combo, and it gave me time, because I have blue, because I have white, to get back in the game and just end up finishing the game off with flying Mockingbirds, copies of Flamescroll Celebrant, where I was able to pump it up on the final turn. I had swung with 2 Mockingbirds, and no matter, even if he had a Flash Flyer, I was able to pump the one that he didn't block with the pump ability. So the front side is crazy. Let's see. Digital says, JDM, funny enough, he put that in as a name and also as a placeholder for the Flood Caller because it wasn't out at the time. So it got played as a meme. Oh, that's funny. I think he's referring to when Danny with so Danny put that in what's it called? Danny put that in there from Move the Crawford. That's fucking hilarious. Funny enough, he put that as a meme. Oh, no. He's saying the rock side desk put that in there as a placeholder. Oh, okay. I'm seeing rock side decks with Leyline, so take it as a grain of salt. I don't play rock side though. We have JDM says Born is especially hot with decks that run Smothy Type. I agree. Digital says Born is the best for what it does, better than Refuge, better than E-Zone. I agree. I think if you're in green, Refuge and E-Zone are busted. Ian, I think from comedian MTG talks a lot about how he's been in love with both Valley Flood Caller and also Emergent Zone. I'm not sure if the Kennen decks are running Born Upon the Wind, but they've been in love with the crop rotation to E-Zone or Kennen flipping to Valley Flood Caller and winning at instant speed. MTG Boss says, have you ever seen Volo, Scholar, Master, Chief, and cEDH? Would you make a deck out of them? I am working on it now. Volo. Let's see. Is it Volo Incarnate Scholar? Let's see. I've never seen this card. It says Volo Incarnate Scholar, legendary creature, human wizard. When Volo enters, create a Volo's Journey, a legendary colorless artifact token with hexproof, and whenever you cast a creature spell, note one of the creature types that hasn't been noted for this artifact. And then you would use Master Chef. The background. So it's Simic. It says Commander, this creature enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Other creatures you could show into with additional +1 counter. Oh, I'm interested with this brew. I'm not seeing the full line, but I'm not too much of a Simic pilot. So if you're, please drop that in the TC community in the Brewers Corner. I would love to chat about that one later. We got to finish the sideboard real quick. Okay. Very quickly. We talked about Born and Leyline of Anticipation. These are both cards that, like I said, I would love to add some instant speed stuff to the deck, but the deck feels good, and I never feel bad that I can't win an instant speed. But it's something I've been thinking about. We talked about Archivist. We're playing Pollywog over it. Cathar Commando is something I've been thinking about. I like instant speed removal. However, right now we are running the MDFC land Witch Enchanter, the 28 lands. I'm telling y'all, the deck it feels good at 28 lands, and so I don't like the fact this is a sorcery speed removal spell, but it's really great because I can go. It's an untapped land, and I've won a lot of games because it just came in untapped as a land. This one, though it is instant speed removal whenever we choose, it's the problem, and it's cheaper even to remove, and we can make permanent copies with it. Is the thing I just feel really torn about it because it's not a land. It's the land on the back is just so fucking good. I love it. Another card I've been thinking about is Glasspool Mimic. I don't think this is good, but I love clones in this deck, and it's been sitting on my sideboard for a second because I'm like, if this was an untapped land, I feel like it would be fuck yes, but it's a tap land, and if I'm not gonna run the Surveil land because it's tap land, I'm not gonna run this. So it's been sitting in my side door for a while. Another one I've really been thinking about is Grinding Station for just purely the thing of like, I'm gonna be honest with you, it supports the breach line, but we don't have a mad amount of artifact tutors. But it's just been times where I just think it will be good, but it's just like, once again, the list is so fucking tight right now. Just like it's just kind of like I'm not. It's the same situation where it's just like it's instant speed interaction. If I were to just crack it and just fuck top deck tutors, but in addition, it's more breach support. But we're so split between that creature stuff and the underworld breach stuff. Is kind of like, damn. So it's really tough there. We have JDM saying, looking at your list, I see high argument for Grim Monolith and Cloudstone Curio. So right now we're not running Grim Monolith because we're not running the whole Breaker Horde combo. Once again, we're not saying Grim Monolith is bad. We need our colored pips really bad though. So I'm choosing to run the Talisman of Conviction over Grim Monolith. And another switch out, nothing really. I like the J-Lo because pushing out Satya, we turn 1 Esper into turn 2 Satya is just good for land Satya. So we can double up Esper. So even for the J-Lo also being something that we can do with Displacer Kin Teferi. Once again, Grim Monolith is not bad. It just feels like a 101st card. And when it says Cloudstone Curio, there are a lot of Satya pilots who are choosing to run Cloudstone Curio. My reasoning that I'm not running it is that it is not, because we're not running Goblin Engineer anymore, the Barrin-Master Wizard is just easier to put together. We have the only artifact tutor we have right now is, let's look at our tutors. Our only artifact tutor is Enlightened Tutor, if I remember correctly. Let's go down to tutors. Where's the tutors at? Yeah. Oh, so we have Enlightened Tutor and Gamble that can get Curio and Intuition, notably. But when it comes down to it, if I'm gonna be fully transparent, I personally just think it'd just be easier just to go Baron.
In my experience, it's been super easy. Also, I'm gonna be honest, I like full creature lines, like that inner Rionia pair. I love it because back in the day with Rionia, like it felt so good when they say, well, I got an offer or I got a dispel, I just can't copy counter creatures. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, that just feels sexy. So yeah, I've seen a lot of Satya players mess around with Cloudstone Curio. Not gonna knock it, that's not my personal thing. Let's see, MGD Boss said, would you add Acid Rain in your deck or sideboard? Let's see. Acid Rain. Add this to the sideboard. Let's see. What does this card do? I'm gonna tell you right now, MGD, if it's a stacks piece, the answer is no. I'm messing around. Let's see what the card does before I dock it. Let's see. Acid Rain, destroy all force. Wait, no. No, I'm joking. I don't personally think taking a full slot out the list to destroy all force in play is a good worth of slot. The card is only about I'm trying to stop people. There's never a time in my head where I'm thinking, oh, I want to, like, destroying their forest helps get me closer to my win. It only stops opponents. So not knocking it. I'm gonna leave this in considering because I've actually never seen this card. I want to have a place to be able to go back, but it's a card. It's a card. I would, if someone played Acid Rain against me in my mono green deck, I would just I would scoop if someone fucking played Acid Rain against me. I was playing a mono green deck. That's fun though. I like this card. This art is cool too. Hold on, is there any arts? No, it's just these two. Okay, the art is cool too. I like this. I'm gonna leave this down to consider. I like this. I gotta save that card. Let's see. JDM says, using the argument that Rockside runs Grim Monolith, you probably should be considering Smother and Tithe, Ripstick, Phyrexian, Metamorphic, etc. Rockside is not color heavy. Your curve is higher. Rockside also has Dark Ritual, Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, and other black effects to help them be explosive that we don't have in red. Our only red rituals we're running is Rite of Flame and Jessica's World. That's kind of the same reason we're not running the One Ring. We're not, if you can see here, we're not running the Run Ring because I found that most times in the average game, couldn't cast it until about turn 3 or turn 4. So I added the Gitaxian Probe. And unless we pushed out a Soul Ring or a Mana Crypt, which at that point, I would not want to pay 2 mana to put out Grim Monolith, especially because it doesn't push out the Saya. And since we're also now in Cloudstone Curio, we really don't need the Grim Monolith. The Mana Vault is really good though because it's an easy turn 1 Mana Vault into turn 2 Rhystic 30, turn 1 Red Mount into turn 2 Smothering Top. And it just easily curves into leveraging the colors we have. Choke Cleansing, what's that? All right, last card, then we're gonna finish out the sideboard, fellas. Choke Cleansing. That's not how you spell cleansing. Their card names, 2 of them. Oh, okay, look this up. Yeah. Choke. Last cards. Choke. Islands don't untap during. Hey, yo, you are a diehard Stacks player, and I fucking love it. No shade. Hey, so choke is 2 colors in the green enchantments. Islands don't untap during their controller's untap step. Mad respect. This actually funny enough. I think this is more cEDH powerful than the other card you recommended, just because blue is so popular. Granted, they're not all our blue sources are islands, and Dockside just wins through it. But still, it's a conversation.
And we had cleansing. That's not how you spell cleansing in money. Cleansing. There we go. 3 white. Sorcery. For each land, destroy that land. Bro, why are you trying to fuck with they lands? We have cleansing 3 white sorcery. For each land, destroy that land unless any player pays 1 life. Wait, you had me until you said unless they pay 1 life. So it's cEDH. Okay. I have to be objective here. In cEDH, we don't make attacks like turn 3 or 4 unless you're really stacking out. And even then, the most damage you may do to somebody is maybe like 3 to 5 damage. I don't know if this one's the best one. Yeah, I think in EDH though, you hit somebody when they got 10 to 15 lands. Oh, that'd be fucking hilarious. All right, last one, guys. All right, that was the last one. We'll finish out this sideboard now. Those were funny. We've talked about Grinding Station. I do want to get you all's opinion. I want to hear you all what you have to say about Kitesail Larcenist. I've seen this in so many site lists online, and I am not seeing what is the appeal to it. What it says is it's 2 in the blue, flying ward 1. If this had flash, this would be, I could see it, but it says when Kitesail, all right. When Kitesail Larcenist enters the battlefield, it says, for each player, choose up to 1 target artifact or creature that player controls. For as long as Kitesail Larcenist remains on the battlefield, the chosen permanents become treasure artifacts with tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana to the color, and they lose all other abilities. I've seen so many other Satya's running this. I feel like it's 3 mana for a sorcery speed removal, and I say to people, in addition to instant speed is king, sorcery speed removal leads to sorcery speed mistakes. You know what I'm saying? When you have to make a decision on sorcery speed, you're always left there like, I don't know if this is the right thing, but when people got full grips after heuristic study or fish and all these other things, it just leaves you just feeling some type of way. And it's just like, damn, I don't want to have to make this decision right now, even with the Witch Enchanter of the land that destroys an artifact or enchantment. It's like a thing, like it just feels bad when you have to make a sorcery speed decision. And sometimes when you destroy a heuristic, that feels great. Or you get rid of, for this one, it gets rid of artifacts or creatures. You get rid of somebody's commander, they sack it to me. It pays for half the commander tax, but you get rid of something important at sorcery speed, cool, and as ward 1, so it's even harder to remove. But yeah, it's just been sitting in my sideboard because I actually want to hear like people's opinion on this one, because I'm not seeing it. I personally don't want to pay 3 mana out of my main phase, even if I'm curving out to get rid of 1 thing from each player, when it's just like I can be trying to win. Or I can just play instant speed removal, so that's my opinion on that. I want to hear y'all though. Tell me, like, what am I missing with this card? Like, what am I missing? I really want to be sold on this one. Next, Ragavan. I want more ramp. If I can be fully transparent, I want more ramp. That's it. I really want to run it. That part of that mono red player in me wants to run it. It's just, there's no slot for it. Plus it's legendary, so I couldn't even copy it with Satya. So it's just kind of like, it's just sitting in the sideboard right now. If there's ever and it's extra tutor target for Ranger, Captain, anybody else thinking about it? No, no slot for it. And the very last card slot is actually one of my homies DM'd me this one. It's Tax Collector. It came out in the Assassin's Creed set, and it says, colors in a white, human advisor, 2/2. When Tax Collector enters the battlefield, choose 1 tax until your next turn. Spells your opponent's cast cost 1 more to cast, and arrest, detain target creature an opponent controls. So I've already talked about sorcery speed decisions, sorcery speed mistakes, but this is like a baby silence effect right now. Right now we are running 5 silence effects, I believe. We were running silence itself. Flamescroll, Celebrant, Ranger, Captain of Aos, Grand Abolisher, and then Teferi. So when he sent this to me, like, I can see the synergies. Even if you do something like, all right, I don't think I'm gonna get back to my next turn, so cast Tax Collector, make everything cost more, go to combat, make a copy of it. It's great at stopping your opponents when you think you can't get another turn. But then at the same time, I feel like this card kind of sits in the Flamescroll Celebrant slot, where it is, there's a silence effect. Now, if two people are trying to win, you're out of luck. I don't know what to tell you. But if it's just one, if you say that player's going to try to win their turn and they're not, and even this hits Planeswalkers, so if it's a Sensei as well, they can't do it. But I guess Matt, you're just screwed either way. but that the Tax Collector wouldn't get either way. But at the end of the day, I feel like this was sitting in this Flamescroll Celebrant slot, and it feels like a 101st to 103rd card. Really, really close, really, really dope. It's just not getting there, and I really want to make it work, but it's something that I just have to live with. Like, you know what? It's okay. We're gonna let it go. We're gonna keep moving forward. But with that said, we're gonna just do some playtest hands. I wanna just say thank you all for being an amazing audience. Thank you for all the questions. Big shout out to JDM. I really want to think hard on this Aether Channeler card. This is, if I want to, I use the term thought-provoking question. TPQs, my mentor taught me that a while back when I was younger. And when you ask thought-provoking questions, it allows people to think deeply about things that they think of when they think of heuristics and other things that they think they know. And I love Aether Channeler because it's definitely something for me to think and meditate on. And I really want to meditate on this card a lot deeper. Outside of that, let's just do some playtest hands because I want to show y'all how this hand works. So we're gonna roll a D8, and as you all know how math works, 1, 2 is 1, 2, 3 is 2, and so etc. We got a 6, so we're saying we're going third. And we're going to, let's say first is Tim the Crime, second place is Tivit, third is us, and then fourth is Rockside. So we'll see our first 7. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, this is a keep. I'm going to tell you exactly why. If the first player is Tim the Crime, second player is Tivit, third is us, Rockside is going fourth, I just basically see play our fetch land, cast an Esper. Yes, if Rockside wins on turn 1, he gets us. Oh well. But yeah, this is just a clean like play Esper turn 1. If you see in the primer, the 2 things you're looking for when you're mulliganing this hand is a major draw engine or a game plan. So, for example, a game plan could be a lot of mana in an Imperial Recruiter or Recruiter Guard or a Spell Seeker or or intuition, or a major draw engine would be like a turn 1 Esper or a turn 1 to turn 2 Rhystic Study, or like if we have a game plan plus a turn 2 Smothering Tide, something along that lines that really gets us to the goal. So I'm gonna just tell you right now, I would keep this hand. I don't. This is just turn 1 Esper Sentinel. We have lands just to get us there. Turn 2, we can both hold up the silence effect and the offer you can't refuse. If Rockside decide to go crazy, boom, silence effect. And but beautiful thing is, because of turn order, we're last in priority, so we can be the last defense of we have this offer or the Flamescroll Celebrant to hold up. And the windfall, if we end up drawing like a Force of Will, I'm pitching this to something where I'm not wheeling Rockside and fucking TNK unless I did like dockside into something crazy. So we'll look at our first draw and Alchemist Refuge. So this is great. We're looking at turn 1 Flooded Strand for a Tundra, play Target Citadel. Turn 2 hold up silence effect or Alchemist Refuge or offer you can't refuse, and as per the draw. So clean, we're drawn into this. When it comes to the full game playing out, I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of variance. So I'm gonna choose it. I'm just gonna choose not to play this one out. But we'll do one more play test hand. Turn. Let's see. We're going. We got a 2, so we're going first, and we will see it first 7. Oh, we're gonna do pods. Don't look at this. Let's say we're going first. Nadu's going second. There's always a TNK, so TNK is going third, and fourth is a Tali. Okay. This hand is actually pretty good. This is a turn 1 wheel. I love the intuition. Delney, there's nothing really to do with Delney, but this is what I was talking about when I first told you all this hand.
Told you all the game playing per se of the hand or of the deck. Wheels are good. I don't care about the intuition. I love that. Check this out. I can even do like a turn 1 Vogue and to Soul Ring, turn 2 Instep Intuition. This is all great. This is a turn 1 wheel. I can fuck everybody and see a fresh 7, and the intuition is still in the graveyard. The Wheel of Fortune is still in the graveyard. This is one that I actually would like to just see what that opening 7 may draw into, because we can go, I want to fetch because I want to fill the graveyard even up more, but the City of Brass may be useful. It depends what my first draw is. So, but either way, we go Rite of Flame to Soul Ring to Wheel of Fortune. Very simple. But we'll see our first draw for turn, and it's a plateau. So what I'll show y'all a quick, just so we can see what the 7 is. We're gonna wheel, so we're already gonna fill up our graveyard a lot. Just because we don't know what we're going to get off the wheel, we'll tap this, lose a life, and then we will cast that Rite of Flame, make 2 red, use 1 red for the Soul Ring, use a Note of the Red for a Wheel of Fortune. We'll discard this, move this art to the graveyard, all to the graveyard. Everybody's like, fuck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this was a little bit of a, I won't even call it a whiff. What I see here is a turn 2 Pollywog Prodigy holding up a Lightning Bolt. We could also, what I'm seeing as a game plan for this hand is I'm seeing it's a Fairy Time Raveler. So this either can be a silence effect for a win, or it could be, it can be, if we get if we get the Recruiter, we could try to do, we have the Soul Ring out, we can do to Fairy Kitten with the Soul Ring, but we need a lot more mana for that. So that's neither here nor there, but this is just an easy pass. Notably, we also have a Savine's Reclamation. So if we want to go land Savine's to ramp out even more into a Pollywog, we could technically do that, because that would be land plus the extra fetch. We could do that. That's cheeky. I more would like to save the Savine's maybe for something different, but we also have a last chance so if we get crazy draws off the Pollywog. And notably, this is just a turn 2 Pollywog into a turn 3 8 Satya. So there may be a universe where I double Savine's, put the Savine's in the get the Savine's in the graveyard to be able to follow that up with turn 3 Satya holding up 1 mana for a Lightning Bolt. Say if there's something cheeky that comes up, and we'll get the evolve on turn 3 from the Pollywog. And notably, our opponents just got fucked for turn 1. So it's pretty clean, pretty simple, and that is how the deck works. When it comes, one question that I've gotten from one of my great question I've gotten from people is, hey, could you do a lot more of the play testing out for this list specifically? It's tough to do the play test because though we're aggressive and we're moving forward with our game plan, we're still very adaptive. We've had a lot of great things brought up. We've had a humility brought up. We've had different combo lines up. We have all these things that we can pivot from. And as you can see, the list is, it seems like it is scatterbrained, like there's a lot of different things going on, but really at the end of the day, everything layers with each other very beautifully. So when you're piloting, and I'm not gonna say if, but when you choose to pilot this amazing brew, just keep in mind that don't get tunnel visioned on one plan. Let me say that again. Don't get tunnel visioned on one plan. There are times where you can have 2 or 3 Esper Sentinels out because you make permanent copies with Satya, and you may draw both Dockside and Barrin, and you may draw 2 pieces and a tutor for your Underworld Breach line, you know what I'm saying? And then the question then comes not of like, it's both, how do I want to win, but even more, which win con is best for the pod that I'm in? Maybe the Dockside counts too long for Barrin, or maybe it's like, hey, that person has an Act of the Soul Conjure, I'm not even going to try to waste mana on trying to remove it. I'm just going to go ahead and just do my Barrin-Master Wizard combo, and they can't do anything against me. And I don't even need the Breach and all that other stuff. Like the Breach could be something where once I have infinite mana, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something in the graveyard that I want to get out later that they don't know about, so they don't use the Agathas, or I do a Grand Abolisher first so they can't even activate the Agathas. Then I reveal, oh, I wanted that thing out of my graveyard that y'all didn't even know about. So don't get stuck on this is how the deck has to go because I have these cards. Because as you can see, the Recruiters can go, you can put the whole Breach line together with the Spell Seeker, with Ephemerate, without Ephemerate. Intuition can do all the combo lines. The Recruiter can pretty much do all the combo lines plus more. So remain flexible and remain adaptive. But with that said, I just want to say, before I let y'all go,
If you're looking for more ways to support the show, we have a plethora. Everything from our TC merch, is the softest, smoothest merch on this side of the internet, also to our TC proxies. It's my way to increase access to this amazing format that we call cEDH. Also, I want to give a big shout out to our Mono Red patrons, Wavy Ashira, Bissy Baxton, The Praetor, and B-Rad. Y'all rock and you keep the lights on in a way that you could not imagine. But I just want to say, even if you don't want the Patreon, but you want to be able to connect with me and the other amazing people, shout out to JDM, shout out to MGG Boss, shout out to the Digital, who else we have in here? Shout out to, what's my guy's name? He popped in, oh my gosh, shout out to Zulu, shout out to, Maho, shout out to Guy. You know, if you want to talk to all these amazing brewing pilots, as you saw, there's pushback. There's a lot of great ideas we have in the community, and I want y'all to just take the time, check out the TC community. It's free. You have jam games. You can talk brewing. You can talk spoilers. You can talk all these amazing things. And as we continue to grow as a community, we can continue to grow as pilots. Because for me, I just love to be great, and I love to continue to grow and continue to prosper as a cEDH pilot. That's just fun to me. So with that being said, check out the TC community. We just do a lot of great things there. And last but not least, if you say, I don't want the proxies, the Discord, the Patreon, nothing. I just want to say one time for the one time. I love what you do, T, and I want to support you. Don't worry. Check out the link in the bio. You can buy me a coffee. It keeps me up. It keeps the lights on. But with that said, I love y'all. I will see y'all soon in this Satya gameplay. Peace.